morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's already an accident to talk about this morning. Westbound on 24 between Old Hickory Boulevard North, that's exit 40, and Whites Creek exit 35. It is closed this morning. This is in Whites Creek. It's because of a crash. The crash is just before the Clay Lick Road overpass. Some trouble to start us off this morning. We'll keep an eye on that. Another phase of President Trump's tariffs hit overnight.
President Trump's new tariffs on 60 countries taking effect at midnight. Trump raising the tariff on all Chinese goods to 104% after China retaliated with its own. Apple, which relies on China to make iPhones, has seen its stock plunge 23% in recent days.
ABC's Perry Russum there. Now, prior to last night, China imposed a 34% reciprocal tariff on U.S. imports and has vowed to fight to the end. China said it would not give in to tariff threats, which it says is blackmail. That's according to a report in Reuters. The White House must restore the Associated Press's access to Oval Office events. District Judge Trevor McFadden, who is a Trump appointee, said in the ruling yesterday that the White House acted against the First Amendment, and he said it prohibits discrimination based on viewpoints. McFadden delayed his order for a week to give the White House a chance to appeal. Metro police are saying they counted 17 shell casings from a shootout between two cars in Murfreesboro on Monday. This is Murfreesboro Pike make that on Monday night.
The police helicopter tracked them down. The vehicle split up, and the pilot kept following the white Dodge Charger involved. It was finally stopped by spike strips on I-40 near the 440 split. Two people got out, ran away, tried to hide in some bushes, but the K-9 officer sniffed them out. They were arrested. 3 teenagers in all were arrested, including 19-year-old Aldo Sosa Ortega, a 16-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Police say they found a 9mm pistol in the bushes, one in the car, and ski masks that the shooters were reportedly wearing during the shootout. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
A roller coaster on Wall Street as major stock indexes slid to negative territory after a morning rally. The Dow was down 320 points at the end of Tuesday trading. The S&P 500 lost 79 points and the NASDAQ dropped 335 points. The sell-offs continue as investors struggle with uncertainty over President Trump's tariff policies, which heads into a new phase Wednesday with higher rates on imports from overseas. Trump's top trade negotiator facing the Senate Finance Committee Tuesday, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told senators the president will not offer near-term tariff exemptions. Greer said the president is committed to his tariff policy. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Well, look at the futures this morning. It's a little mixed. We've got the Dow futures down 227, but the NASDAQ futures are on the positive side by 7 points. The S&P 500 index, those futures are minus 21. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a closure this morning already, heading in from the Whites Creek area. 24 westbound between Old Hickory Boulevard and Whites Creek Pike. It's closed because of a crash. Now, that crash is just before the Clay Lick Road overpass, and that crash looks like it's the cleanup is going to be there for quite a while this morning. 40, the eastbound off-ramp to Charlotte Parkway. There's an accident on the off-ramp, and the off-ramp appears to be blocked. You've got also a crash on in the right lane on 40 eastbound at Charlotte Pike. That also causing some delays this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? Welcome on into Wednesday. It is April 9th of 2025. A lot of people are calling this World War Tariff, the day that tariffs go into effect. So clearly, we're going to be watching the markets. We've got a lot to continue to watch. And bottom line is, this is the day that a lot of people have been dreading. Do us a favor, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, also X and 997WTN.com. Go to YouTube, like and subscribe, and take the Daily Dan poll. Here is the Daily Dan poll. I'm really interested in today's poll, because some days I'm not as interested as other days, but whatever. But how are you feeling today? Joan Jones, this is the official poll.
Yes.
It is Tariff Day. Are you feeling optimistic? Are you feeling anxious, or are you feeling dread? So those are the three options. Go take the poll. And Donald Trump had a lot to say about tariffs last night.
And I do think that the war with the world, which is not a war at all, because they're all coming here. Japan is coming here as we speak. They're in a plane flying, lots of them, all tough negotiators. But things that people wouldn't have given us 2 years ago, wouldn't have even thought of it. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7, they're giving us everything. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs.
So that is Donald Trump. Obviously, he did have a lot to say last night at the NRCC, which is the National Republican Congressional Committee. They help Republicans get elected to the House of Representatives. Trump was giving a speech on tariffs and taxes.
I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our money. They stole our jobs.
So one of the things, and we've got hopefully Scott Desjardins, Congressman Scott Desjardins, was at this event, and I'm hoping that he's going to join me this morning. I've got a text message out to him reminding him that we made an appointment, if you will. We scheduled an appearance last week for this morning. So hopefully he remembers, but he was at this dinner. And I do hope that this speech served as a reminder to those in the House of Representatives that they need to get their asses on the same page and stop wasting time. That's what they need to do. Trump has clearly positioned himself as part of the working class. There's this new idea apparently floating around that the Republicans are considering, where what they're going to try to do is take over the president's ability to implement tariffs. And so you've got some Republicans in the House of Representatives and the Senate who are behind that idea. They basically want to abscond with the president's ability to put these tariffs in play. Now, that's going to be a very big deal, because for President Trump, it is clear the tariffs, this is the hill that he wants to die on. And so for President Trump, he believes that these tariffs are the right way to bring America's economy and America roaring back. Republicans are considering a bill to create now a new 40% tax bracket for those earning over $1 million. Now, this was and is part of the conversation that is out there this morning. One of the things that they're saying, obviously, is this is going to help pay for the no tax on tips pledge that Donald Trump made during the election. So here we are. The Democrats are always saying that the Republicans are the party that are trying to give their rich friends lower taxes. Well, now the Republicans, at least some, are throwing around ideas that if you are earning over $1 million, then you are going to now be paying 40% in taxes. And that'll help Donald Trump with that pledge for no tax on tips. House Freedom Caucus Chairman Andy Harris says you're not only raising, what you're doing is you're only raising it a couple of points, because right now those folks, they're paying 37% on taxes. You're only raising it to 40%, okay? I will tell you this, is that the last thing anybody needs is more taxes. And so for Mike Johnson, House Speaker Mike Johnson and others, they are sort of dismissing this, and I hope that they do. Because right now, nobody deserves to have higher taxes. Now, how do you incorporate no taxes on tips? I don't know. But raising taxes once again on people that are deemed too rich, in my opinion, is not the way to go. Bottom line is, so we'll continue talking about that. Remember what's going on right now, though. It is Tariff Day. The Senate came out with their version of a spending bill, because all of this is sort of interwoven. The Senate has come out with their version of a spending bill. The House has their own ideas as well. The problem is, and this has all come down in the last few days, the problem is the Senate's version of a spending bill, literally, and they sent it to the House of Representatives, it doesn't cut nearly enough. Matter of fact, the Senate only want to cut like $4 billion. And the House Republicans, they want to cut a couple trillion. Senate, $4 billion. House, couple trillion. So how in the world are they going to get on the same page? Because remember, Donald Trump's tax cuts, the extension of Donald Trump's tax cuts is wrapped up in all of this spending legislation. Andy Biggs in the House of Representatives had this to say about the Senate.
The difference is stark, obviously. It's about $2 trillion spending cut difference between the House and the Senate. So what I would suggest is going to happen, what should happen, is that the House committee should go ahead and proceed pursuant to the budget instructions that we already passed out of the House and start looking for those reductions. On the other hand, we're going to have to keep working with the Senate. But the difference is so large, and it speaks to what Budget Chairman Arrington calls an unserious proposal on the part of the Senate. I don't know if I'd go that far, but what I'd say is it's woefully short of where they need to be.
Yeah, so the Senate, $4 million, House, a couple $1 trillion. So now part of what's happening is you have people, I love social media. So you have people that are now attacking folks in the House of Representatives, because the House of Representatives, you have people that are saying the Senate version is a non-starter. And so now people are attacking the House because they're attacking people in the House of Representatives of holding up Donald Trump's vision and his, big, beautiful spending bill and tax cuts. Well, the problem is that it doesn't cut enough. But people are going after folks in the House of Representatives because they're saying Donald Trump wants to cut. He wants to cut the federal budget. He wants to save money. And the Senate's version is not doing that. We in the House of Representatives, we want to do that. So why are you attacking us? And that's part of what's going on, is people are just attacking folks in the House of Representatives because they're trying to execute Donald Trump's vision to save money. Oh, there's more. There's a lot more. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Still had that closure this morning on westbound 24 that's heading in from Whites Creek. And the closure is between Old Hickory Boulevard North, that's exit 40, and Whites Creek Pike, exit 35. That crashes just before the Clay Lick Road overpass. Now, you also have some closures this morning. The off-ramp is blocked off 40 eastbound to Charlotte Pike, exit 201 by a crash. And you've also got 40 eastbound right at Charlotte Pike, the right lane blocked off by that very same crash. Ashland City Highway at Old Hides Ferry Pike, there is a crash in Scottsboro as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. As far as your weather for today, a high of 69 and some clouds. We appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So what is going to happen to Donald Trump's big, beautiful spending bill? Well, nobody really knows. Republicans have a choice. They need to figure all of this out. They all assume, I agree, I assume they all agree that extending tax cuts is a priority. But how much money they end up saving is the big conversation. And it is going to be a battle because to hear the Republicans in the House say it, the folks in the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, they're just not serious. They're not serious about saving money. To hear some say, again, the Senate only wants to cut a few $1 billion. The Republicans in the House looking for a couple trillion. Again, Andy Biggs.
I think in the end, you're going to see that's where everybody coalesces around is the tax extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, plus President Trump's new proposals. I think everybody will coalesce around that. But you have to actually try to make this fiscally responsible because don't forget the president has also said that he wants to balance the budget in a short period of time.
Right.
Well, that means you can't keep spending and you can't avoid reductions in your spending. And that's why the Senate proposal was so disappointing, quite frankly.
So now you're going to have a big battle between the Senate and the House of Representatives, the Republicans. I've been trying to get Senator Haggerty on, and I can't seem to get him on. I think they have been working really hard on trying to get all of this figured out. But here's what the Associated Press says about where Mike Johnson stands. House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing a growing rebellion from conservative hardliners in the House as Republicans seek to take up a budget blueprint that was recently adopted by the Senate to pass President Donald Trump's agenda. Because remember, both House and the Senate have to pass the bill. Then it goes to the president's desk. Bottom line is if they can't agree, then they're going to have to go into a committee, and representatives from both the House and the Senate are going to have to try to hash this out. House GOP leaders are eyeing a vote this week on the measure, which would unlock the path for committees to craft a massive bill to cut taxes, boost immigration enforcement and defense spending, and lift the debt limit without Democratic votes. Because remember, in the House, they have a very, very slim majority. They say a slew of House conservatives, I think they're up to like 12 or 15 now, that are rebelling against what the Senate wants to do. A slew of House conservatives have blasted the Senate's version for requiring just $4 billion in spending cuts, which the House sees clearly as insufficient. The House's version, by contrast, called for $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion in spending cuts, while largely steering clear of specific. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen now is politics is so flippin' ridiculous. I'm getting so tired of it. So the representatives in the House, the ones that are trying to get $2 trillion in cuts, you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to be the ones that are called rhinos. I guarantee you, because nobody really has any kind of a real actual definition as to what a rhino is. But if you hold up anything that Trump is trying to do, even if it's a bill coming from the Senate that is not nearly saving enough money on cuts, yet it's going to be the fiscal conservatives in the House that are going to be called rhinos because they're going to be the ones that are seen as holding up Trump's bill. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. So basically now the Republicans in the House need to get together. They need to, in my estimation, demand the Senate take up more reductions. Again, probably form a conference committee and get on the same page. Because right now, the two chambers, they are at war. I just played you the audio from Congressman Andy Biggs, Republicans in both the House and the Senate. Again, they need to get together. I think the other thing that they're talking about today is how they can seemingly, apparently, it's, and I'll have more to talk about this here in a little bit, but more to say about this in a little bit. But part of what they're saying now, too, is that they are working on a plan to take over Donald Trump and the president's ability to implement tariffs. So what a political news day. It's tariff day. The Senate and the House, they're at war. Republicans are trying to figure out a way to take over Donald Trump's ability to implement tariffs. China's now at a 104% tariff rate.
Pull the covers back up over your head, folks.
I got to tell you, man, go back to bed, folks. Nothing to talk about today. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump had a big victory in the immigration wars. We'll talk about that as well. 522, and Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Hey, Joan.
Yeah, so coming up here, the youngest victim of this area's severe storms is being laid to rest today. A sad story here. And in some circles, they call this attrition. There are more people voluntarily departing from leadership roles at the IRS. We've got those stories and more coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
527. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Joan.
Yo. That's
people,
the Philly coming out of me. Yo.
Joan.
Sorry.
I need to start talking Philly.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Joan and I can start communicating better. Maybe I need to start talking Philly. Hey, yo,
you
Joan.
did.
Speaking her native
Philly.
language.
Speaking her, I need to speak Joanese.
I think it's Phillies.
No, it's
Oh,
Joanese.
you love the Phillies too? I'm so happy.
See?
Yo, Joan, you want to hear some Jasmine Crockett?
Oh, do I ever?
This woman, she is such an embarrassment. I don't know, and I just listened to it, and I haven't really developed any thoughts on exactly like the meaning behind her words. But you know, she goes street, and this is what she had to say. Jasmine Crockett.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
Can I just say, I don't believe there's anybody who can be educated by Jasmine Crockett.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Unless the lesson that she is imparting is that she's really flippin' dumb.
Didn't she say illegal immigrants are not committing crimes? Like, that's not illegal to be an illegal immigrant? Didn't she say that like a couple weeks ago?
I think she did say that.
Yeah.
I think we openly mocked her on that one. Can I be honest? It's hard to keep up, but here's more from Jasmine Crockett.
You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
I know that's right. See, she turns on.
Oh, I know what she does. Go ahead.
And so the response that she gets is the same response, that same dialect.
Street, ghetto. Some people call it ghetto.
Yeah,
whatever.
there you go.
I mean, yeah, but here's the thing, is that when you, she's talking about how we're done picking cotton, right?
Yeah.
That's what she said. Well, then why is it that there's certain segments of her party that are always saying that the Republicans want to send them back to the plantation?
Back in chains.
Back in chains. I mean, why then Jasmine Crockett, if she's going to educate anybody, it might want to be her own party. Because if you're not going to go back to the plantation, which is what she just said, well, then tell the other members of your party, as they're always accusing Republicans of wanting to do that, which is asinine and stupid and dumb. So the leader of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett, along with AOC, did you hear what Senator Robert Kennedy said? It is very funny.
Yeah.
Did I say Robert? It's John Kennedy.
Yeah, John Kennedy.
I keep calling him Robert. All right, got a lot more straight ahead. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There is trouble this morning for folks heading in from Jolton or from Clarksville. 24, the westbound lanes are closed this morning between exit 40 and 35. That's Old Hickory Boulevard to Whites Creek. There's a crash in the middle there, and that's causing a big delay for the folks heading into Nashville this morning. We'll keep an eye on it. The National Weather Service confirming now that 2 more tornadoes touched down during severe storms in Middle Tennessee last week. In Grundy County, an EF1 was confirmed, and in the city of Dixon, an EF0. And in Hendersonville, straight line winds were also confirmed. On Sunday, tornadoes were also confirmed in Humphreys and Wilson counties. And a 9-year-old boy who was swept away by floodwaters in Kentucky is being laid to rest today. His name is Gabriel Andrews, and he was waiting for a bus when he was overcome by the waters in Franklin County Friday. His funeral is taking place in Pikeville. The acting commissioner of the IRS is stepping down over a new deal that shares immigrants' tax data from immigration agents. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has more on that.
Melanie Krause is the third person to leave the top job at the IRS since President Trump took office. And sources say other senior IRS officials may also step down. Critics claim the data sharing agreement violates privacy laws, but the White House says it shows agencies are sharing information to improve efficiency and speed up the deportation of undocumented immigrants.
Now, under the terms of that agreement, ICE would submit the names and addresses of immigrants living illegally in the U.S. who have final removal orders, and that would be used to check against IRS taxpayer records. Well, tariffs hit last night, and harsher tariffs hit China after the country failed to meet President Trump's deadline to lift its retaliatory tariffs. Now, the new tariffs are 104% on China. President Trump insists that China still, however, wants to make a deal. So stock futures this morning were on the mixed side. The Dow Jones Industrials futures are down 370. The NASDAQ futures now falling. They're minus 58. The S&P futures are minus 40. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, everybody, how are you? Here we are, Wednesday, April 9th. I'm desperately trying to get in touch with, oh, look at that, my buddy Snark. We've now gone over 8,000 subscribers as of, okay, so I want it known that it was during my show that we got over 8,000 subscribers. Was it during, Snark, was it during my show?
We're at 8.05 right now.
What'd you say, KGB? 8.05. All right. So thank you. I guess that's a milestone. Hopefully that happened during my show. That's what I want to know. Did it happen during my show? You guys think Desjardins is going to blow me off today? Congressman Scott Desjardins? 10,000? Okay. Well, listen, here's the funny thing. It took us, how long have we been doing this stupid TV thing? It's been what, a year, I think? It took us a year to get to 8,000 YouTube. By the way, it took us 2 years to get to 8,000. Wow.
However, we've gone fast since then.
Well, we've stepped it up. We have stepped it up. We started doing the poll and all that kind of stuff. Cool. I can't say what I want to say, KGB, about the digital numbers and about I can't. I want to say it. But you know what I'm going to say, right? Well, anyway. There used to be a time where we would get rewarded if we built the digital numbers. No mas. Anyway, but that's okay. I'm trying to figure out Tariff Day. Are you feeling optimistic, anxious, or dread? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out my feelings on it. Part of me feels optimistic, but part of me has like a pit in my stomach.
Yeah, we're still watching that closure this morning on 24 westbound. Makes it difficult at best to get in from Jolton, to get in from Clarksville this morning. 24 westbound closed Old Hickory Boulevard
We'll see
to
what
Whites Creek. And there's a crash
We'll see what happens.
just before the Clay Lick Road overpass area. Also this morning in Hillwood, a crash eastbound 40 at the off-ramp to Charlotte Pike, exit 201. The off-ramp is blocked. The right lane is also blocked on 40 eastbound right around that spot. And McGavick Pike, there's a crash in Inglewood at RD Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.538, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Along with Joan Jones and KGB. Hey, Joan, so we got some big news.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a big guest in here on Friday. I cannot believe you pulled this
I'm
off.
so excited about this. It's crazy.
So yesterday we were joking that Stefano DiPietro would never lower himself to come into the radio station. So Joan hits him up on Facebook, and she has somehow finagled a deal where we're hoping he's going to actually come into the studio.
The funny thing is, like, sometimes I'm not sure, like, pinch me. He wants to come in. I gave him the option of just calling in, and he's like, no, I'll come down.
So now, because you people know that I like stress over everything. So now I'm like sitting with my wife yesterday, and I'm like, what am I going to say to Stefano DiPietro? Like, I'm actually stressing now because I don't know what to say. You know, because usually,
I bet he's fun and he'll be an easy discussion.
Now, remember what our conversation was before the show, Joan?
Yeah.
She's like, wait, I'm not sure if he knows that we're radio.
Yeah. No, he does.
He does know that we're radio.
Yeah. So
Okay.
What did I say?
And
to him?
YouTube and whatever.
Yeah. So I let him know that oh, this is so cool. I said, everyone here is excited that you're coming. You've got a big presence on our show. We'll make the announcement to our listeners this morning. So that says radio.
Yeah.
And I told him, gave him instructions for how to get in. And he said, sounds good. I'll leave the station right around 8 o'clock. So he should be here 8:15 on Friday.
So what we're going to do is on Friday at 8:35, it'll be Joan, KGB, me, Chris Hand, and Stefano DiPietro. And we're going to have fun.
What a lineup.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to like dig into where he's from and all that to, fill 20 minutes with a weather guy.
We talked about this before. He is like the embodiment of a perfect looking weatherman. Like he has like just the look of a weatherman. I don't know how else to describe it.
He's going to make us look bad because he's well groomed.
I'm such a
his hair is nice. He always wears a nice suit. Yeah. Oh, maybe I should tell him to like dress down, put on his gym duds.
No, because
put on a hoodie.
His gym duds. No. I want him to dress up so that I can make fun of him.
You're not going to make fun of him when he's right in front of you, Dan. I know you.
I know. You know what? I'm like a keyboard warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Number one, it says a lot that he would come. I don't think he knows that we make fun of him, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he knows that we. But it's all in jest.
But is it really making fun of him?
No.
We're just going on like he tells us what to wear. We're all like joking about our freedoms. Like that's
exactly right.
It's just
I'm gonna find out so the whole what to wear forecast.
Yeah.
Is that something that he brought to the table, or is that something that they make him do?
Well, we can ask him that. Yeah.
And does he realize? I gotta figure this out. Hey, by the way, I'm in my own personal hell, and I don't know, Joan, if you can help me with this.
Oh, I love this. Go on.
So everybody knows that I'm a little scatterbrained.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I keep confusing John Kennedy, the senator, and Robert Kennedy from the Trump administration, and I cannot get out of this. I keep confusing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had another one of those moments. Is there a way? How do you? Because when you're talk shows, you just talk off you just extemporaneously. You just So when names come up, you don't. Sometimes it's like, oh crap, is that Robert Kennedy or John Kennedy?
Yeah.
Is that the senator or is that?
There's such a big difference between Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy.
Oh, there's a huge difference.
One is
between those two.
jacked, the other's old.
Yes, Robert Kennedy is jacked. That is most certainly true. But anyway, bottom line is whatever.
Jacked.
All right, so I want to address something that happened yesterday, and I take this very seriously. And I want to have a serious moment with the folks on the YouTube chat. Yesterday, I love the silence. Joan actually thinks I'm serious. Have you noticed this? Like, oh crap, man, this is going to do an after-school special. No. Travis made fun of me because he in the chat, and I forget exactly what Travis said, but it was basically something about how I was awkward talking during the breaks on the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
And I made fun of it. And so he sent a note this morning, a very nice note apologizing for making me upset.
It was heartfelt.
It was. I wasn't upset. Like, not at all. It actually gave me something to make fun of me over. I make fun of myself. So I wasn't upset at all. So just so you folks know, that stuff doesn't make me upset. I'm still going to talk. The show kind of continues on the stream during the commercial breaks where I'll pop in and talk if I have the time. Oftentimes I don't have the time, but I appreciate Travis's apology. Travis, feel free to speak your mind in YouTube, even if you're I know you didn't mean anything by it, but I mean, I don't take offense to literally anything that people say in chat, on the YouTube line.
He'll just think about it for the whole
line,
day afterward.
I don't know how to take this because he did comment in the YouTube chat.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I've been here since episode 1, but after upsetting Dan yesterday, I have to leave the WTN family.
Oh, Travis,
I don't know.
come on, man.
I do not know if that's sincere or not. Travis, you got to be honest with me, buddy. Is that sincere or not?
Now, we also had a guy that was being abusive, and we talked about Joan. Joan's the mom of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joan, if somebody is insulting KGB and probably insulting me and insulting other people in the YouTube chat, is it appropriate to go ahead and ban them? I think it is, because it's one thing to have, the freedom to speak your mind, but if you're dropping F-bombs on everybody else, I think that's BS.
So if it's just being snarky, who cares, right? That's online for you. But if it's people being abusive, that crosses the line. Go ahead and get rid of him.
He's trying to engage. He's a troll, obviously, but there are some things I've seen here where I'm not a fan. Like he just called me like the Jew at one point.
Oh,
so
you are.
I mean, yeah, but only my friends can call me the Jew.
Oh, okay.
Like you could, like that's fine, but like if you don't really know me that well, don't go there.
Right.
That's like if you know someone's joking,
mm-hmm.
because nowadays you don't even know if someone goes after your Jewishness. You can.
Well, it's like you better smile when you say that.
Yeah,
that old Western.
Or you better
line.
know who I am as a
Yes.
person, and like I trust you with stuff.
Right. Exactly. All right. Real quick. It's Tariff Day. Are you feeling optimistic, anxious, or dread? Now, somebody said, who was this? Was this you, Joan? Somebody said, I know that you were included on the text. No, it was Tammy. Tammy says she wants to buy a lot of stocks, Apple and others, this morning.
Yeah, you can. I mean, really.
Not at all panicked. So, yeah.
If you've got the means to do so, this is a great time to do that.
If you've got the means and if you've got the money, it is. But the question is, how do you know when it's bottomed out?
Yeah.
That's the thing. How do you know when the stock market has bottomed out? So, but what is that is our poll on YouTube. Tariff Day. Are you feeling optimistic, anxious, or dread?
What are you feeling?
You know what? I'm having a hard time getting in touch with my feelings this morning for whatever reason.
You just need more coffee.
I've had plenty. Part of me does feel optimistic, but there is a part of me that is anxious as well. Like I've said throughout this whole journey, Anybody who tells you that they know what's going to happen, I don't care if it's talk show hosts or economists or whatever, they don't know because we are in such uncharted territory. Anything could happen. So I'm optimistic, but I'm also a little anxious because I'm not arrogant enough to be able to say, this is what's going to happen. I know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like a little humility is a good thing.
Yep.
So what do you think? What are you feeling?
Unfortunately, I get swayed by the media. So when I'm watching, I think my baseline is, okay, I'm a little anxious. If I'm watching something where the hosts or the presenters are saying, look, it is the one time he has said we have one chance to do this.
Yep.
We've got to do it now before we lose our country. Then I get stoked for it. I'm ready. I'm prepared. And then I come in and I'm watching,
the markets.
And people talking about, it's Chicken Little. The sky is going to fall on us. Our country is going to pieces. Republicans are turning against him. Then I start to go, was I just not thinking realistically?
No, the Republicans are. Oh, Scott Desjardins, great. Can you do 6:35? Can you do 6:35? 6:35 my time.
So just to let the
Are we
listeners
listening
know,
to you text
he's
in
reading
real time?
and texting at the same
That's what we're doing.
time.
Live texting with Dan Mandis.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the Republicans are responding to two things. Number one, the media, the sky is falling media. That's number one. But number two, I do believe that there are legitimate concerns. Like I understand why people are concerned when you look at where the market is headed. And this is the hill that Donald Trump is going to die on. You just have to have faith. But what gives me hope is there's a lot of people that I respect that are saying it's going to be okay. And I do believe that what Donald Trump is doing is he is negotiating. That's what I believe, is that he is negotiating. And once all of this is over, the market's going to skyrocket and will ultimately be in a better place. That's what I think. But I'm optimistic with a shade of anxious. That's what I'm going to, that's my official feel today. I'm optimistic with a shade of anxious.
That's good.
You like that?
I like that.
Okay. Now, what are people saying on the super text line, KGB?
Right now, they're saying 74% optimistic.
Okay.
Which is a good sign. Honestly, only 6% say dread. But that, honestly, with some people, I saw their 401k and got a little, nervous.
You don't lose anything unless you sell, friends.
True. Well, we talked about this before the show started, too. I'm actually, I'm turning 30 in June, so I'm like, I might need to put in a 401k soon. I'm just like, is this the right time to really go for it, or should I wait until the market's maybe a little better?
No, you're buying in now. At the low, you buy at the dip.
Okay.
Well, regardless.
I just need money first.
I knew that's where this was going to go. We're done. Okay. It always comes back to how little KGB makes.
Yeah, yep.
It only has been there twice.
Do you know some signs have, some stores have signs that say help wanted.
Yes.
KGB has a sign that says help needed.
Always.
Yeah.
Big neon sign, too.
Joan, what's coming up?
Hey, first, before anything, I got to let you know I goofed up. 24 westbound is closed off this morning, jolting into the Nashville area, and that's a problem. It's the westbound side. It's not the eastbound side. I had it all wrong. I apologize. Also, this morning, we're looking at the big problems in Kentucky with flooding continuing, especially in an area of Dawson Springs. Those stories coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.551, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for Nashville Tent and Awning. Spring headed into summertime. Listen, what big events do you have planned? Whether it is a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding at your home. Maybe it's Easter plans. Maybe it's a birthday party. But whatever you're going to do, Nashville Tent and Awning, they've got an enclosure for you, an incredible enclosure that can be installed pretty much anywhere. Now, Nashville Tent and Awning, they've been around since 1884. These folks are a Nashville institution, and they've worked with the likes of the Titans, Vanderbilt, and yes, the Grand Ole Opry as well. They are one of the top companies in Nashville, and they can help you. Think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so that you can enjoy the nice shade as the sun gets hotter as we head into summer. If, again, you've got an event for work coming up, they can help you there as well with a tent or an enclosure, and they've got awnings for any style of building that's going to improve the look and the feel of your home or office. Get some visuals and check it out online at their website, ntaco.com and taco.com. 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-329-3701. Solid craftsmanship and built to last since 1884 in Nashville Tent and Awning. .555 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Congressman Scott Desjardins confirmed for 6:35. And among the topics we're going to talk about, tariffs, of course. It is Tariff Day, where tariffs are officially now in play. Republicans talking about taking over tariffs and the spending bill and the differences between the Senate and the House. Congressman Scott Desjardins joining us at 6:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Harry Enton over at CNN talking about, while you have so many people in the media, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. The reality is that the American people see Donald Trump as doing a lot of good things. Listen to this from CNN.
I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. 50s. The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's come in and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
Donald Trump is a soaring eagle, per CNN's Harry Enton. That's pretty funny,
Wow.
actually.
That's pretty unusual.
That is pretty unusual. It's almost like with Harry Enton calling Donald Trump a soaring eagle on CNN, it's like the people over at CNN need to eat a lot of crow. Okay, I thought that was good.
Oh, soaring eagle.
Eating crow.
Eating crow.
Whatever.
I just needed you to think about that after you said it.
Moving on.
Reacting to and feel about Trump's approach.
Yeah, okay. So Trump's approach here, what are we talking about? Trump's approach to presidential power. I think the American people recognize what he's doing here is completely different. We're talking, get this, 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So again, you can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump, but what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before. He is doing it, quote unquote, my way, and that is what Donald Trump has done throughout both of his presidential terms, and he's certainly doing that, Kate Baldwin, in term number 2.
All right, so again, to reiterate, 86% agree that Donald Trump is doing things completely different, which clearly he is. But how do the American people feel about what he's doing?
So completely differently, clearly they agree, but take it a step further? Do the people think he has too much, he's taken too much power?
Yeah, this I think is the real question, right? You can believe that he's doing stuff completely differently, but do you think that he has a little too much power or not? And this is interesting. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people. It does hold maybe with 47%, but with the majority of folks, they believe Donald Trump's doing something completely differently, and they don't believe he has too much power, and the executive orders he signed certainly suggest he's no lame duck. He is, as I said at the beginning, a soaring eagle.
There you go.
Really going hard on that, isn't he?
Donald Trump, soaring eagle, according to CNN's Harry Enton.
But I think they're eating crow over there.
Ha 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 ha! That's so funny,
Whatever.
Joe. What
you know
a great
what?
joke.
Whatever. I think it stands to reason, though, that it is important when even CNN is reporting that with Trump doing all that he's doing, majority of the American people basically say that Trump is on the right track and doing the right things. It is 6 o'clock. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello there, 6 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The crash is clear. Thank you, Super Texters, on 24 westbound at the Clay Lick Road overpass, and the roadway has been opened on 24 westbound. Flooding continues to be a big problem in Kentucky today. The Ohio River is expected to crest at 50 feet, but not until tomorrow. In Dawson Springs, the waters there receding, but residents are still using kayaks to get around. This man telling Channel 4 he's donated dozens of cases of bottled water to try to lend a hand.
The good Lord puts things upon my heart. I'm not wealthy or rich, but there's a whole lot of people in Dawson Springs that need some kind of help.
Dawson Springs, you may remember, was leveled by a tornado in December of 2021. Well, the flooding in Clarksville is ongoing as well. And speaking to WSMV, this man says he bought kayaks for his family to have some fun.
We bought the kayaks a long time ago to go to Paris, but Paris is coming to us now.
Yeah, Clarksville mayor there says engineers are studying the areas that continue to flood after big storms, and they'll work on figuring out how to mitigate the high waters. A bill that would have allowed you to shoot someone stealing your property died in the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, much to the pleasure of the anti-gun violence group Moms Demand Action, which testified against it.
No one ever should be justified legally in shooting another person over a lawnmower or even my secondhand car. That's just shouldn't be something we allow people to do.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigations and the conference that represents local district attorneys also testified against that bill. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
White House calls its reciprocal tariffs are now in effect. Tariffs on Chinese imports now at 104%. Markets around the world falling overnight after Tuesday trading that saw the Nasdaq lose over 2.1%. The S&P dumped nearly 1.6%. The Dow was down 0.8%. The tariffs are freezing up clothing and accessory retailers across the U.S. Reuters says many smaller outlets are now delaying orders from places like China and Vietnam. Many say they'd have to boost their prices by about 40% to cover the costs. For some people, though, the tariffs have them in buying mode. Worries about possible price hikes driving sales at places like Costco on items with a long shelf life. Wine merchants are bracing for a slowdown, saying the 20% tariffs on everything from Europe will push the price past what casual consumers typically pay. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Well, we're watching stocks this morning. The futures market, the Dow futures minus 174. NASDAQ futures on the rise now. They're up 78 points. The S&P futures are down 2 points. We just learned that mortgage demand jumped 20% last week, and that is probably what's causing the traders to keep buying here in the pre-market trading. Well, that is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather on the way. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, yeah, 24 westbound in the Whites Creek area now reopened at the Clay Lick Road overpass after an earlier accident. The crash now cleared off. 40 eastbound lanes in the Hillwood area, that's a mess this morning. The off-ramp to Charlotte Pike is closed off, and you've got a delay, the right lane blocked off. Make that 40 eastbound at Charlotte's Pike because of that crash. And then just one more in Inglewood, working at an accident scene this morning at McGavick Pike and Artie Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Welcome on into Tariff Day. World War Tariff, as some people are saying. There is a lot to talk about in this hour, by the way. Coming up at 6:35, Congressman Scott DesJarlais. 7:06, it's Brian Wilson Wednesdays. Brian is going to join us at 7:06. At 7:35, we're going to have a quick chat with State Representative Scott Sepiki, and we're going to talk about some state issues as well. So a very busy morning here on Super Talk, 89.7 WTN. One of the things, and I want to play this just very quickly because it's very funny. Everybody knows that I am a fan of the Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana. Listen to what he said last night on Hannity related to the new leadership of the Democrat Party.
What do you think of the new leadership, Jasmine, AOC, and Bernie?
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. And our plan for dealing with her... You didn't plan that out. We got her. Our plan for dealing with her is called Operation Let Her Speak.
Absolutely, and it's certainly true.
What did he say? She's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle?
Yes. Yeah. That is what Senator John Kennedy said.
He always has
about
wise words.
AOC. Absolutely. Now, not so wise, of course, is what is going on right now. The big battle. Have you noticed the battle going on between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro? This is stunning and fascinating, to say the least. Now, Peter Navarro, if you don't know who he is Donald Trump's big trade advisor, and everybody knows who Elon Musk is, the guy from Doge. And so part of what's going on is those two are in the middle of a very epic battle, and they're fighting back and forth, and it's public. Elon has been very public in his views over Donald Trump's tariffs and how Elon has said they'll be bad for business, especially, by the way, the car business. And everybody knows Elon Musk, among many other things, is the guy that owns Tesla. Peter Navarro, again, Donald Trump's top trade advisor. And so they've been going back and forth. And this is what Peter Navarro said about Elon Musk.
When it comes to tariffs and trade, we all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer. But he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. The tires come.
So basically what Navarro is saying, number one, is people are believing that Navarro is dissing not only Elon Musk, but also his companies, and specifically Tesla, and basically reducing Elon Musk to a car salesman or just a car manufacturer or assembler. And that made a lot of people mad. Now, realize these two are supposed to be on the same page. Elon has been very public in talking about how he does not believe that these tariffs are a good thing, and his worry is regarding the car industry. And so, you know, and of course, Elon Musk is a guy who knows a lot about the automotive industry. And so, no doubt, Elon has been in Trump's ear, chirping that he doesn't want these tariffs on cars. And Navarro, of course, has been working on Trump's other ear as he is telling Trump, you know, we've got a tariff, we've got a tariff. And so Trump has been getting conflicting messages from Elon and Navarro. Elon, by the way, in case you're wondering what he wants, he has been advocating for a free trade zone between the United States and Europe.
We want the tires made in Akron. We want the transmissions made in Indianapolis. We want the engines made in Flint and Saginaw. And we want cars manufactured here. It's like this business model where BMW and Mercedes come in to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and have us assemble German engines and Austrian transmissions. That doesn't work for America. It's bad for our economics. It's bad for our national security. We want them to come here. And with Elon, it's fine. He's a car man. He's a car person. That's what he does. And he wants the cheap foreign parts, and we understand that. But we want him home. We want him home
Peter, you
for our national security and economic security, and everything's good with Elon.
So, and by the way, no, not everything is good with Elon. That, again, Peter Navarro talking about how they want all of these things to be built here in America, which is fine. And I totally get it, and I'm right there with him. I used to live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I used to live in Richmond, Virginia. I used to live in Colorado Springs. And it is a very big deal when and look at, out in Memphis, where they had that Ford plant that is out there in Memphis. It's a very big deal when an auto manufacturer comes to town. Well, we've got the plant in Spring Hill. It's a lot of jobs. It does a lot for the local economy. That's what Peter Navarro is talking about. But here's the thing that he doesn't get. And a lot of people pointed this out in this very epic battle going on between two of Donald Trump's key advisors, is that, and Peter Navarro should know this, but Elon's Tesla is one of the most American-made cars out there. According to Cars.com, the Tesla Model 3 Performance is the car that is most made in America, with 87.5% of its parts coming from American sources. The Model Y Long Range and Model Y Standard both are tied for second with 85% manufactured in America. And the Cybertruck is at 82.5%, while the Model S and Model X are 80%. And so Navarro is he's kind of wrong. And by the way, I like Elon Musk more than I like Peter Navarro, but I get what Elon is saying about the car industry. Again, we're all going to have to see how this whole thing plays out. I love, though, that Scott Jennings actually puts Peter Navarro in his place, and I've got that audio coming up. It is 6:15, coming up on 6:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads. Thank you very much. As far as your weather for today, high of 69, some clouds, right now 34 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Scott Jennings, of course, over there on CNN, he's been watching this public battle between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro. And, Jennings seems to be a little more on the side of Elon Musk.
Navarro was wrong. He was insulting Teslas, and Teslas are the most American-made car.
Yeah, we can put that up, actually.
And it's like one of the great American automotive manufacturing success stories. And so obviously he insulted Elon's cars unfairly. Elon responded. I'm not such a global phenomenon. Elon is. He's into so many things, whether it's cars or space or the internet. I mean, you name it, he's everywhere. And so I think attacks like this were unavoidable. But I think the net positive of having him involved, both in the campaign and the government, is undeniable. And obviously he's leaving soon. I mean, he's long said he's going to be here on a temporary basis.
And the thing is, Elon has been blasting Navarro on the socials as well. I think he called him a moron, but I'm not sure. But Elon has been responding to Navarro in real time. And it's always interesting because people say, oh, Donald Trump just wants yes men or yes people around him. Well, that's clearly not true, because Trump has surrounded himself with people that are willing to disagree with him. And so I believe that Scott Jennings is right. And many people are now saying that Elon is going to be leaving, by the way, sooner than later. I don't know. But Elon, let's be honest, he has done some amazing things. It's not hyperbole to say that he has done incredible things for the world. I mean, he's done amazing things literally for the world. That is absolutely true. And yes, he has done, in my opinion, great things for America, Donald Trump, and Republicans. And that's why the left hates him so much. Elon Musk, he does not deserve the abuse that he's getting. He just doesn't. So I wouldn't blame, and Jennings said this as well, I wouldn't blame Elon if he said, screw it, I'm out of here. He does have a lot of businesses and a life not only to get back to, but also a life to protect.
Well, look, but that was always the plan, and I just think the relentless attacks on him, both from inside some people who support the president and from outside, have frankly been unfair. I think he's a patriotic American. I think he's given up his time and his treasure and his trouble to elect someone and try to make him successful.
Patriotic immigrant to America.
Absolutely.
Right? All right.
Yeah, so again, Elon, he did. He hit back at Navarro for saying the things that he said, and he did call him truly a moron, is the quote from Elon Musk. This has been going on for a while, but has really heated up, and it came up yesterday at the White House press briefing where Caroline Leavitt said, boys will be boys.
There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history. And I think it also speaks to the president's willingness to hear from all sides, that he has people at the highest levels of this government in this White House who have very diverse opinions on very diverse issues, but the president takes all opinions in mind, and then he makes the best decision based on the best interests of the American public.
So that is a battle that clearly will continue. There's been a lot of people that have been predicting that Elon Musk will be going back to the private sector sooner than later. We'll have to wait and see what happens. By the way, do you remember yesterday we were talking about that poll that showed that 55% of people on the left were or could justify the assassination of either Donald Trump or Elon Musk? Do you remember that? And we actually had a conversation, Joan, about where would the Democrats denounce the violence? If we went around and started asking Democrats, would they denounce that kind of violence, this assassination culture? Because one of the things that they said in the polling was that leaders here in America, they could squash this quickly by just coming out and denouncing the violence. Well, enter Chuck Schumer.
Senator, what's your opinion of the violence against Tesla, their products?
He says nothing. Chuck Schumer is being followed in the hallways of Congress, and this person asked him about whether or not he would denounce the violence, and you'll notice that Chuck Schumer says nothing.
Senator, what's your opinion of the violence against Tesla, their products? What are your thoughts on that? Do you denounce the violence against Tesla products and dealerships and cars in the streets?
Walks into the elevator.
I can't talk about Tesla, but Elon Musk is a disaster for America, and America knows it. Look at Wisconsin.
So that is Chuck Schumer refusing to denounce the violence against Republicans and against Elon Musk and, by extension, Donald Trump. Anybody surprised by that?
No. It's unbelievable. He had the chance to say something. He had the chance to take a stand against it.
Obviously, he didn't.
Wow.
That is Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, and that tells you all you need to say. That tells you all you need to know about the Democrats, and maybe I'll ask Scott Desjardins about all that as well. He's going to join us at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 6:21. Joe Jones is in the WTN newsroom. What's coming up?
Well, China has just hit back what the country has just done after President Trump's tariffs hit at midnight. Also, there's a plan afoot to stop flooding in Clarksville that just keeps on happening. We've got that and more coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.622 on Super Talk. And as you just heard, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get absolutely crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Now, you can get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. So when the power goes out, your power is going to stay on thanks to this incredible home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. Now, you can find them online. It is GeneratorSupercenterofNashville.com. Their phone number is 615-879-1952. Financing is available, 615-879-1952. That website, one more time, GeneratorSupercenterofNashville.com. Dan Mendes here. Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity has built a network that's 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile has Wi-Fi Power Boost, giving you the ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. Get the same reliable network in the places you need it most, like at the coffee shop, in line at the grocery store, or at the game. All to power more of what you love, whether you're a gamer, streamer, or working from home. Now through April 17th, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $30 a month for 1 year with no annual contract, and save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Plus, ask us how to get a free premium 5G phone. Find them online at Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary. .628, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Congressman Scott Desjardins is going to join us at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7. This came out yesterday. I've only got like a minute and a half here, so I just want to get this story in real quick. Apparently, federal agencies, now remember, most people within Washington, D.C. were working from home and have been since COVID in 2021. But regardless of all of that,
on high-end pieces. Since fiscal year 2021, executive agencies have spent more than $4.6 billion on furniture alone. That amount could buy 9.2 million American families a modest $500 kitchen table.
$4.6 billion on furniture.
During the peak years of the COVID emergency, from 2020 to 2022, agencies spent $3.3 billion on furniture, even as work migrated to Zoom. The SEC managed to spend $700,000 furnishing a single conference room in New York. And social distancing guidelines failed to keep even the Centers for Disease Control from buying solar-powered picnic tables with charging ports.
Wow.
That by their own rules should have sat unoccupied. And an added burden for taxpayers is that many spaces are in long-term disrepair, as we mentioned before. Federal buildings need $370 billion in fixes.
So that is why Doge is in existence. $4.6 billion on furniture since 2021 when everybody's working from home. Unflippin' believable. Got a lot more straight ahead. Scott Desjardins is going to be joining us, I believe, from Washington, D.C. That is all coming up next right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning to you. It's now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, engineers are now examining some parts of Clarksville and the neighborhoods there to figure out how to direct water away from the neighborhoods after another round of flooding due to last week's storms. Mayor Joe Pitt speaking to Channel 4.
We've had a lot of rain, and where they're located in a lower lying area tends to attract water.
He also says that they'll ask FEMA to reevaluate flood zones, which were last drawn in 2008. That process could take several months. Metro Police reviewing security footage from parking lot cameras at the Hustler Club on John Lewis Way early this morning. An argument between several people ended with one of them grabbing a gun and firing into a parked car where two people were sitting. One of them suffered life-threatening injuries. Police say that they have strong leads and they hope to arrest the shooter soon. Well, President Trump's sweeping new tariffs against dozens of countries went into effect overnight with looming price hikes and stock uncertainty likely in the coming days. ABC's Trevor Alt is in Port Newark with more on where those tariffs are being placed.
Across the European Union impacted a number of different high trade areas in Asia, Vietnam, Japan, South Korea. There is still the looming possibility of negotiations. But as of midnight, these tariffs that we've heard so much about, that we've already seen so much volatility in the markets, they are in effect.
Yeah, now China is now under a 104% tariff. And we have just learned this morning, just moments ago, in fact, that China has hit back, levying an 84% tariff on U.S. goods in response. And that has sent stock futures tumbling this morning. Dow futures now down 527. The NASDAQ futures down 177. And the S&P 500 index futures, they're down 60 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632. Dan Mandis here on Super Talk 99.7. Vision for Life. You know, they are celebrating 20 years of 2020. Since 2005, Dr. Jeffrey Horn has provided thousands of patients with 20/20 or better vision. Now, his expertise and his dedication has made him a leader in cataract, LASIK, and other vision correction surgeries. Now, Dr. Horn's commitment to providing the best possible patient experience, in addition to the most advanced technologies in vision correction, has made Vision for Life one of the premier vision correction centers in the world. Now, this is the guy that I went to. You know that I went to Dr. Horn a couple of months ago, and I had that first initial consultation. And yes, I was incredibly nervous. I was. I've been thinking about doing vision correction for years. I go in, I talk to Dr. Horn, and he spends like 35, 45 minutes with me answering every single question that I had. It was painless. And it was quick. My downtime was really next to nothing. And now I can see 20/20 vision, and I've never been happier. My only regret regarding Dr. Horn is that I didn't do this sooner. Now, help them celebrate 20 years of providing 20/20 vision by scheduling your consultation today. The phone number, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com. .635 Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is spring rebate madness going on right now at Busy Bee. Now, they've got great rebates and a lot of ways to save you money. Right now, a mini split 17 SEER or a heat pump 17 SEER, that is an $800 rebate. Heat pumps 15 and 16 SEER, that is a $500 rebate. Duct sealing or repair, that is a $300 rebate. Again, so many ways to save you money with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. There's a lot of other benefits. You've got to join the Beehive Club. There's a lot of benefits when you join that Beehive Club. Check them all out at their website. It is busybhvac.com. I've been a client of theirs and a member of the Beehive Club for over 10 years. Busy Bee, plumbing, heating, and cooling. Call them 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybhvac.com.
Got a crash in Creve Hall. This is on Harding Place at Overcrest Drive. And then John Toon, a crash on Ashland City Highway at Amy Lynn Drive. And of course, you're going to just expect the usual delays heading in, especially on 24 around the Smyrna area, heading all the way up to the merge with 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637 audio. KGB. 637, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here, and want to welcome on in Congressman Scott Desjardins. Congressman, are you still in D.C. or are you home here in Middle Tennessee?
We're in D.C., ready to get to work today.
Okay, very good. I want to play a soundbite from Donald Trump. I'm assuming you were at this I guess it was a dinner last night, an event with Donald Trump.
And I do think that the war with the world, which is not a war at all, because they're all coming here. Japan is coming here as we speak. They're in a plane flying, lots of them, all tough negotiators. But things that people wouldn't have given us 2 years ago, wouldn't have even thought of it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7, they're giving us everything. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs.
So, of course, we all know that, today is day one when the tariffs actually go into effect. So talk a little bit about, and I've got some very specific questions, but just talk about your feelings today as you were sitting in the audience last night. That was, by the way, at the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee. This is an organization that helps Republicans get elected to the House. So what was your thought on Donald Trump's speech, and how do you feel this morning regarding the tariffs?
Well, I think he gave a good speech. It's positive. It's upbeat. Pretty typical Trump. The tariffs, it's got everybody shook up because if you peek at your 401k right now, you don't like what you see. I guess I like to remind people when we were electing President Trump, the economy was a top issue. The border was a top issue. The national debt was a huge issue. National security was an issue. And so, it takes a little bit of time to turn those things around. We were faced with, record inflation, whether it was because of COVID or the Biden administration. We know we were all paying more for everything we did. We all are concerned about Social Security being solvent, concerned about Medicare, and the trajectory we're on with our debt is unsustainable. So we wanted somebody to come in and shake things up. Well, things have been shook up, and I just try to remind people that, when you're going to quit printing money, quit borrowing money, quit giving away money, it's got to come from somewhere, and everybody's going to have to absorb some of that if we're going to get back on track. If you're trying to put your own household back on track and you have to make cuts, there's things you're used to having that you don't have, or, sometimes you have to give up some things. So trying to just big picture it for you, I think that, there's going to be some pain before some gain. So people are getting really nervous, and people see their accounts change, and they, look at the stock market and get pretty antsy. But sometimes, you got to trust the guy you hired to do the job, or the coach you hired to lead the team.
Well, this is breaking news. China has now slapped an 84%. This is the headline from the Daily Mail, Congressman. China slaps an 84% revenge tariff on U.S. goods in huge new escalation. hours after Donald Trump imposed that 104% levy as global financial markets tank again. Let me ask you, of course, you are congressman with the House of Representatives, Republican. Do the Republicans have the stomach to see this through?
You know, we're supposed to have a vote possibly today on the Senate version of the budget bill that would lead us towards reconciliation and maybe better known as one big beautiful bill. I'm not certain that the Republicans have the votes today. I know a number of members that are a firm no, and I've lived this before. In 2017, we had a little bigger majority, and there were people that were wanting to hold out for a better deal, and frankly, about all we got done that year was the tax cuts. We wanted to do health care and a few other things, and basically holding out ended up landing us in the minority in a hurry in 2 years. And I look at it, Trump's a lame duck. I think 80% of what he'll accomplish as a lame duck president is going to happen before August if we don't win the House back or keep the House in 2 years. So I think you got to take some risk, and sometimes they call it falling on the sword up here. Things that he's proposing right now can be reversed. He's the art of the deal guy. He's the negotiator, and he has done a lot of things since he took office that have gotten a lot of attention, whether it's Gaza, Greenland, Canada, you name it. He kind of seems to shoot from the hip, but I think he has a strategy. And, we have such a slim majority that I think we have to work together as a team. The Democrats were famous for that under Pelosi. They could stick together, and things weren't perfect. You weren't getting 100% of what you wanted. But at the end of the day, you took a win and then you dealt with it. So things can be tweaked, things can be changed. And, I think that it would be better if we stuck together as a team. And if, even Elon Musk, when he was doing his Doge talks to us, he comes and speaks to us often. He says, I'm not going to bat 1,000. I'm going to make mistakes. Nobody does. But we're going to do the best we can. We're going to get these cuts. And if we go overboard in some areas, we can fix it. And I think that, with China, make no mistake about China, they are our number one peer adversary right now. Russia still has a formidable nuclear threat, but China is who I focus on every day in HASC and as my lead as the subcommittee chair in strategic forces. I'm supposed to be dealing with the Golden Dome, with space, with hypersonics, with missile defense, and all those things. And I'm laser focused on China. And so getting in a trade war with China is probably better than a military war. But, every time we buy goods from China, we're funding their military machine. And so Trump's vision is to bring manufacturing back to America, and that's what these tariffs are based on doing. And we want to be an exporter, not an importer. We want to have our people working and making money. And again, this just doesn't happen overnight. And so, I think it's a process you've got to kind of believe in, or at least give it a try, give it a run, tweak it, fix it where we need to fix it. But yeah, there's a lot of people grumbling right now.
Congressman, so many things I want to ask you. Coming up, one of the things that they're talking about is bringing the manufacturing of pharmaceuticals here into America. A lot of these are, of course, manufactured in China. One of the questions I'm going to ask you is, okay, I love that in theory. The question is, do we currently have the infrastructure to take on such a massive project? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Congressman Scott DesJarlais is joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
We've got an accident at Overcrest Drive. Watch for emergency crews on the scene. John Toon, Ashland City Highway. There's an accident at Amy Lynn Drive. No problems coming in on 24 or 65. No unusual delays on 40 or 440. I'm Christy O'Brien.
6:45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. As far as your weather, today going to be a high of 69 and some clouds. Congressman, so with the want by President Trump, he talked about this, and others have talked about this before. I think he mentioned it last night. Are we prepared to create the infrastructure to create and manufacture the pharmaceuticals that are currently made in China? Are we able to build that infrastructure here in America? Because we're getting into this war with China. we got to make sure that we're ready to hit the ground running, and we are able to create these medicines here if need be. Are we able to do that?
That's a great question. In theory, yes, if we get the time to do it. The problem with politics in America is the pendulum swings so quickly. So Trump can implement a plan that lays the groundwork to make that happen, and then the media, depending on which side you're listening to, it's either heaven or hell. You get one or the other. It's shirts or skins. Nobody is willing to give things a try long enough to let them work. So he could put things on a trajectory to where, yes, we have the ability to do that. And then his ideas will get beat down. They already are. And, they'll put someone else in office, and with the stroke of a pen, they'll undo it. And back and forth we go. And that downward spiral continues. So I believe, yes, we can do that. I think nobody really trusts the pharmaceuticals coming from China. I don't trust much coming from China right now. A lot of countries are trading with China. What they found with China's Belt and Road Initiative is they overpromise and underdeliver. And I've traveled to dozens of countries around the world over the last couple of years, and everything that China has promised to do for any individual company has come up short, not as promised, and so they're not reliable. So I think here we have an opportunity to do what needs to be done. We just gave that away over the last few decades. Frankly, after the fall of the Soviet Union, we became complacent in many areas. Nuclear modernization, I keep shifting back to military because that's what I'm focusing on. But we kind of lost our edge, if you will, as a country. We became a nation of importers because they could sell cheaper goods, and we like that. But it's kind of a false economy, and we see our debt spiraling. And so, you have members here in the House right now that think, well, we can walk away from this deal and wait for a better deal. And I get that. If you're going to buy a car and the price is just too high, sometimes you need to walk and come back. So I don't know what will happen this week. We may not get it passed, but I just know from experience, don't try to get too cute with this. Take a win. If we can get 80, 90% of what we want, we should do that, and then we can iron out the wrinkles. But back to your just direct question, do we have the infrastructure? No. Can we get it? Yes, I believe we can. And again, people are going to have to accept that this isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to take some time. You got to believe in the strategy. Obviously, on election night, more people than ever believed in President Trump's ideas. They knew how he operates. He's doing that now. I hate that people get squishy and squirmy. Am I a little nervous? Yes. But do I have a better idea? Not necessarily. And I think most of these people that are no's, if you ask them, well, what's your plan? They don't really have one. They just think there's probably a better one. So, in the middle of a game, you got to run the play that's called. And, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So you run another play. But I think right now, as Republicans, we need to stick together, back the leader that the country overwhelmingly elected, and do the best we can. We're not going to bat 1,000, as Elon Musk said, but we can correct mistakes as we go. But we got to all be moving in the same direction, or we're just going to be standing still and be in the same mess that we've seen our country in now for too long.
All right, so I've got two more questions real quick. Republicans, I'm reading in both the House and the Senate, are considering legislation that would limit what Donald Trump can do regarding tariffs. Have you heard about that? And real quickly, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, well, I've heard about, we have three branches of government here to keep things in check. We want to make sure that, a terrible idea doesn't go too far. So I think checks and balances are fine. I think we can look at it, and I think that would create a open dialogue with the president, and whether we enact that or not, it opens the door for those conversations, and that's why we're here. We're a team. We have the Senate, we have the House, we have the White House, we have the Supreme Court. But right now you're basically talking about how the House, Senate, and the President or the White House work to make sure these trade deals don't do too much harm, and the tariffs don't do too much harm. So I'm totally open to those discussions, because there are people, that are more economically minded and probably have some good ideas. And so we do need to come together. Acting quickly is important because time is short in American politics, but also getting it right is important. And so, I think there's room for that. If we don't get this done this week, I don't think it's the end of the world. If we come back with a better deal in a couple of weeks and and that works out. I'm fine with that too. But I think we need to get something done sooner than later.
Well, I'd say, I mean, you're talking about the Senate is looking to their plan, their spending plan, saves only $4 billion. Some say, well, that's a start. But House GOP, they want to save $2 trillion. So you're a Republican congressman in the House. That's a pretty big divide to sort of be able to come together on. Is there a way in Trump's agenda, Trump's tax cuts are really at play here? So number one is very quickly, how do you bridge that divide? And number two, can you just strip out Trump's tax cuts and vote on those all by themselves and while you argue over the savings later? Is that possible?
Well, that would be your two bills. So we do this through reconciliation, and he would like to get it all done in one bill, and he probably remembers 2017 when things kind of unraveled and fell apart too. So yes, you could in theory do one bill through fiscal year September 30th in a reconciliation process, and then turn around and do a second bill. I mean, people are going to notice the Democrats bill this is a tax cut for the rich, but I think everyone listening probably notices with the $29,300 deduction, standard deduction for married couples, most people are getting more of a tax return than they used to, and so it's not a tax cut for the rich. About everyone listening would be impacted if we don't get the tax thing done. As far as the $4 billion to $2 trillion, yeah, that's a huge difference. Doge, is looking at $1 trillion in cuts, and what's so confusing? That's not going to happen this year. This is usually like a 10-year projection, which makes it really difficult to believe in, because again, when I talk about the volatility of politics, what's happening in the next 3 years can be completely different for the next 4. And so, all these things are always based on 5 or 10-year projections, and it's really hard to do the math and wrap your head around it. So it's a very tough process. But again, you put the country on the trajectory you think is going to move us in the right direction, and you go with that plan and hope that people like it well enough that they keep it going long enough for it to work.
All right, Congressman Scott DesJarlais, always appreciated. And we could have spent another hour talking about the news of the day, but always appreciate you coming on. It is 6:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones, quickly, what's happening in the news at 7?
China imposes new steep tariffs on the United States. We'll take a look at what that is doing to the pre-market trading this morning. Coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 6:53 Nashville's Morning News. Want to welcome on into the program Tony from Cabinet Solutions. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. How about you?
Doing great. Want to talk about your showroom and all the things that Cabinet Solutions can offer homeowners as far as remodeling your home.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I want to talk to them just a second because, I understand that people want to upgrade their kitchen or their bath. They get a little bit weary because they think about all the people they're going to have to talk to, all the places they're going to have to go, all the people that's going to have to come through their house, and they just put it off. But at Cabinet Solutions, not only do we carry all the cabinetry they need, but we've got high-end LVP flooring they can pick out. They can choose their countertops. They can choose their cabinet hardware. And if they need walls moved and electrical or plumbing done, we've partnered with an in-house contractor. And they can meet with that contractor and us at the same time, cutting down loads of meetings and trips to other places. It just makes it easy.
I love that. Efficiency is the name of the game, right?
It is.
All right. Go check out, and your website is incredible because you've got examples of all the cabinets, the flooring, the countertops, even closets. You've got all kinds of great things there on the website as examples. MyCabinetSolution.com is the website. Thank you, Tony. MyCabinetSolution.com. Dan Mattis here. Appreciate you listening. And spring wedding season is approaching. If you're a bride, a bridesmaid, maybe a groom, or you're part of a wedding, and you're not exactly confident about looking your best, Contours Med Spa in Cool Springs, they can help you. Their red light technology is going to help you lose 2 inches across the belly on that first treatment. That is guaranteed, or it is free. You're not going to pay if you're not happy. Now, right now, you can get your first treatment only $99. Again, right now, when you call this phone number, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. First 10 callers right now, that is usually a $600 value. So whether it is a tux or a bathing suit you're trying to slide into Contours Med Spa in Cool Springs, they've been helping folks look better and feel more confident with their ultra slim technology. It is FDA approved. And remember that phone number, 615-236-9960, ContoursLLC.com. .659 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Busy morning. Brian Wilson is going to join us coming up next after the news at about 7:05, 7:06. And then we do have some state concerns we're going to talk about with Scott Sepiki, State Rep Scott Sepiki. He is going to join us at 7:36. It is all straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning now, 7 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top story. Stick around for your traffic and your weather. It's on the way right after the news. Got to brace yourself this morning. Stock futures tumbling again in the moments after China announced that it would slap an 84% tariff on U.S. goods arriving in their country. Now, this is in retaliation for President Trump's 104% tariff on China. The move pushed Apple shares sharply lower in the pre-market as well. And we've got market numbers here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures right now are minus 6.com. Dow futures right now are minus 631. NASDAQ futures are down 225. S&P futures falling 77 points. One negative effect from the market gyrations, too, is the U.S. Treasury yields are surging. So early this morning, the 10-year Treasury note, the yield there jumped 10 basis points to 4.3%. And that rise means that mortgage rates will continue to stay high and perhaps run even higher. Another troubling sign, the Treasury Department's auction yesterday for 3-year Treasury notes saw pretty weak demand. Now, we're going to keep our eye on all of this all throughout the day. Some other news of this day, the National Weather Service now confirming 2 more tornadoes touched down during severe storms in Middle Tennessee last week. In Grundy County, an EF1 was confirmed, and in the city of Dixon, an EF0. Hendersonville, it was straight line winds that were confirmed there. On Sunday, tornadoes were also confirmed in Humphreys and Wilson counties. A 9-year-old boy who was swept away by floodwaters in Kentucky is being laid to rest today. Gabriel Andrews had been waiting for a bus when he was overcome by the waters in Franklin County on Friday. His funeral taking place in Pikeville. We do have new information about the man who planned to kill President Trump at his golf course in Florida. Federal prosecutors revealing now Ryan Routh was obsessed with killing him.
Before he allegedly stalked Trump on his Florida golf course, prosecutors say Ruth, a fierce supporter of Ukraine who had visited the war-torn country multiple times, reached out to an associate there. His request: send me an RPG, rocket-propelled grenade, or Stinger surface-to-air missile. Prosecutors claim Ruth desperately wanted to blow up then-candidate Trump's plane, writing, "I need equipment so that Trump cannot get elected."
Now, this was the second assassination attempt coming just 2 months after Trump was nearly killed by a gunman in Pennsylvania. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, it's the usual ride heading in this morning on 24. Things start to slow down in the Smyrna area all the way up to the merge with 40. And on 40 itself, we've got delays that start in the Mount Juliet area heading into Nashville. Same thing for 65. It's a little bit slow this morning. Goodlettsville heading into Nashville. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.705 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, then 97 W10. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, 997WTN.com as well. Take the Daily Dan poll. It is Tariff Day, and we do have some news on tariffs. But the poll today, it is Tariff Day. How are you feeling? Are you feeling optimistic? Are you feeling anxious? Or are you feeling dread? Now, this headline, China has slapped an 84% revenge tariff on U.S. goods in huge new escalation hours, they say, after Donald Trump imposed 104% levy as global financial markets tank again. Brian Wilson joins us on Super Talk 99.7 Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Dan. Good to be back with you.
So let's talk about the tariffs. You heard me describe the poll. Are you feeling optimistic, anxious, or dread? I've described to myself, I'm optimistic with a shade of anxious.
Yeah, look, I think everybody needs to sort of just take a deep breath here. I mean, let's be honest about it. People don't like change. And when change comes, you have to adapt. And look, we knew he was going to do this. We knew he was going to impose tariffs. We thought everything was going to be just great, and it will be. But it takes a little time for these things to sort of take hold. I mean, think about all the things that are going on. We're imposing tariffs. We're bringing in additional revenue is what that really means into the country, which reduces our debt, reduces our deficit. These are good things. We are about to get tax cuts. That will invigorate the economy. We are doing big things with regard to energy and energy policy. And as a result of that, we will see, the cost of goods and services in this country come down, because nothing helps the economy better than seeing the cost of your energy proposals come down. So, I mean, a lot of balls in the air here. And it will take a little time for this stuff to sort of kick in and take effect. And will it be a little rough along the way? Yeah. But we're doing big things here. Big things. And we probably couldn't do this if this were like the second term of Trump. If he had stayed in office,
right.
we wouldn't be able to do it. Because he went away, had time to think about it, and has come back with a plan. It is, and that he can ride out the criticism. Well, I mean, what are they going to do?
Right.
That you can criticize him, but he will allow this. He has the assurance to know that if you just stick with a plan, everything's going to be okay. And that's the way I feel. You know who else feels that way? Art Laffer, the father of the Laffer curve.
Yes.
And he's on board. There's an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal that talks about that today, and he's completely on board. And I think when Art Laffer says, "Just relax, it's going to be fine," I'm happy to just sit back and let things happen. But it will take a little time. And Congressman Desjardins, who I was listening to your interview, great interview, he's right when he says it's going to get a little rough before it gets better. But it will get better. And because Trump can't run for re-election, he can just ride this out.
Do you know
there'll be criticism, but I promise you it's going to get better.
Do you know what my worry is, Brian? And I agree with you. My worry is he is trying to completely change our economy, which I agree with. And I am on board with the tariffs, and I agree with you about chilling out. My worry is we have the Democrats, we have the media, we have some Republicans, some nervous Nelly Republicans as well, and it's going to impact the midterm elections. If we end up losing the House in the midterm elections, Brian, you know what's going to happen. I mean, they're going to start trying to impeach Trump, and everything, all the progress just ends. Is that a legit concern?
Well, I don't think so. I think people are going to see this start to take place sooner rather than later, and I think it will eventually. It will start to produce the things that Trump hopes it will produce, and the economy will be set right again. Let me. Everybody talks about tariffs. Oh, it's horrible. Tariffs. Oh, tariffs. I'm worried about tariffs. Listen to this story out of the Wall Street Journal today. It's about a little shrimping community on the Alabama Gulf. Well, I'm sorry, the Gulf of America, at Bayou La Batterie, Alabama, a little tiny town. They do a lot of shrimping there. They've been killed by cheap shrimp coming in from Vietnam and other countries. They're thrilled about this.
Yep.
And when you start looking around, you can find a lot of stories like this. Car manufacturers were laying off people, and now they're bringing on extra shifts and moving manufacturing back to America.
Brian,
that will take a little time, but
Brian,
it will work.
There is a story about along the same lines. There is a story that I was reading about a guy that's got a bicycle shop, and he was telling me that so many people are coming in and they're looking for and they're buying American-made bicycles. I mean, so you're right. There's all of these different stories that are out there. And so the media is so focused on, sort of the story of the tariffs. And as you said, oh, they're so bad and look at the markets and all these other things. but there are great individual stories and also signs of progress, because you do have all of these different countries that are now coming in and wanting to negotiate. Now, personally, I believe that Donald Trump is letting them sweat a little bit before he comes in and makes a deal. You know, of course, art of the deal. He's going to make these deals, but he's going to wait until they're really panicked. And then he's going to come in and he's going to make some great deals. At least that's what I think is going to happen. China is I think, basically, and I agree with Congressman Desjardins, China is enemy number one because of what they've been. I mean, this is a country, as you well know, I mean, they steal our intellectual property.
Right.
They're sending spies over here. I mean, I could go on, but bottom line is that really is the country that we need to deal with.
I think you're right about that. I mean, look, what do we as conservatives believe? We believe in small government, right? We believe that small government is what we want, and we're working toward that. We believe that we should have cuts in spending, and we're working toward that. There are tax cuts on the horizon that will really invigorate the economy. We are going to have, before very long, much cheaper energy costs. All of these things are going to come into play in time, and things the cart will be righted. And yeah, I know when you're looking at your 401k, it's sort of, a little nerve-wracking, but don't blink. Stick with the plan. It's going to be fine.
Let me ask you, Brian, and Brian Wilson, of course, joining us. I was speaking to Congressman Desjardins, and you covered Capitol Hill for years and years and years. So right now, we've got this one big, beautiful bill, right? House GOP is looking to cut $2 trillion. The Senate, they have their version of the bill that is not so beautiful. They only cut $4 billion. House GOP, $2 trillion in cuts. The Senate, $4 billion in cuts. How do they actually figure out how to make these two plans come together? I'm going to let you cogitate on that while we check the roads on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Weather today, a high of 69, some clouds as well, 34 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian, how does Congress bridge that divide?
It's going to be tough. And listen, a lot of people are going squishy. And it's frustrating.
Yes.
We worked hard, and we knew what he was going to do. And now that he's there, it seems like everybody, I have doubts about this. We just need to trust in the plan and trust that Donald Trump is probably one of the best negotiators to ever come across the world of negotiation. He's just that good. And he understands how to make this work, and it will all come together. But members of Congress, they get all worried. They get a hot call from somebody who's worried about their 401k, and it starts to reverberate through that institution, the institution of Congress, and they start getting worried. Or then you have this other group of people to say, well, we want to do this much cuts, and then the House says, well, we want a lot more in the cuts.
Yep.
It'll all get worked out. I've witnessed this happen time and time and time again. Differences between the House and the Senate get resolved in some way, and eventually something gets across the goal line. Will it be perfect? Probably not. It's Congress. It's not going to be perfect. But will it be better? Yes. Can we then go back and adjust the plan after we get the first round through? Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Take what you can get when you can get it and move to fight another day. That's always been my strategy.
One of the things you also covered in your time in Washington, D.C. was, of course, the Supreme Court. Last couple of days, Donald Trump has had a couple of Supreme Court victories. Of course, one related to deporting illegal alien gangbangers, and the other one regarding the mass firings of those probationary federal employees. I think that tells you that these federal judges, these ones that are blocking Trump like Boasberg, they're just trying to run the game clock out or something, because they know that they're going to be overruled, I'd think.
Yeah, I mean, you can always find a judge to do whatever you want to do. It's called judge shopping. It's done all the time. You go out and you find one district judge who you think will be, sort of sympathetic to your cause, and you see if you can throw something legalistically against the wall that will stick. And so they're doing that, and you might have a temporary, but I mean, I'm very pleased to see that the Supreme Court, albeit by a 5-4 margin. I wish it were 6-3.
What is up with Amy Coney Barrett?
I have no idea what's
what
up
a
with
disappointment
her.
she's been.
Yeah, she has been. And I'll tell you, I'm not all that sure about our Chief Justice. I think he's a little wobbly as well. But one way or the other, the Supreme Court is standing by the concept of presidential power. The president has a tremendous amount of power. Trump is going to wield it. It's just something we haven't seen in a while.
You were talking, Brian, real quickly about Trump. And yesterday, I'm sure you know, that he has signed 4 new executive orders to support the coal industry. Oh, yeah. And, I love, and I'm going to have a longer segment on this coming up in the next hour, but he's signed 4 executive orders to basically protect and to promote the coal industry. Talk about that.
Well, I'm very excited about that. If you've ever listened to my show when I was doing the regular show in the afternoon, you heard me say this all the time. Nothing ripples through the economy and can have either a bad effect or a good effect than the cost of energy. When energy is expensive, our economy does not do well, and things get very expensive, and that's inflation. When you cut the price of energy across the board, everybody can sort of lower their prices and things sort of calm down and become more economically solid. And so, this was drill, baby, drill. Now it's dig, baby, dig. Bring me some coal. A lot of people say, well, what about the environment? What about the environment? Well, there's a lot of things that could happen. I think we should go more toward nuclear. Yep. But the bridge is clean coal. The bridge is natural gas. And as we apply those technologies and then work on the next wave, nuclear, which takes a little while, I think we're going to be fine. We've got to have electricity. People don't understand how much electricity and how much energy is required for all of this AI stuff. It's unbelievable how much it eats up.
Well, and
so if you're going to have that, you got to have a good, cheap energy, and good, cheap energy puts the economy right very quickly.
Well, you're right. Our needs are increasing. Our grid is aging.
Right.
And that's one of the things that Donald Trump wants to do. And again, I'll get into this here in a little bit. But Trump wants to protect and try to get our grid back in the shape that it needs to be in. And this is something that has been ignored by both Republicans and Democrats for years. And, we're worried about Russia, North Korea, Iran, China hacking into our grid. And so we have a lot of vulnerabilities, and that does need to be shored up. Brian, anything else? I've got about a minute left.
Yes, I want to invite everybody to come to Watertown on the Saturday before Easter. We're having a big Easter extravaganza, 10,000 eggs.
10,000 eggs? Don't you know there's an egg shortage or whatever?
10,000 eggs. That's right.
Okay.
And bouncy houses and face painting and the whole 9 yards. It's a nice day, 2 o'clock on Saturday before Easter. We'd love to have you come out. Otherwise, been doing a little traveling, was down on the beach, and I really enjoyed that. Listened to the show a little bit, on the app, and it's been interesting to listen to all the things happening and just sitting back and sort of ruminating about, all of the nervous Nellies have about got me worn out.
Are you nervous about the nervous Nellies, Brian?
I'm very nervous about the nervous Nellies. Ease up. Give it a little time to breathe. Things don't change. It didn't get messed up in a week.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a little while to unmess it. So, just a deep breath, everybody. It's going to be okay.
All right. And, Brian, we may see you in Watertown on, you said, is that on actual Easter Sunday?
No, that's the Saturday before Easter, the day before Easter.
Okay.
2 o'clock, Watertown at the park there. You can't miss it when you come into town, and it'll be a great event. We'd love to have everybody come out.
All right. 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Thank you very much, Brian. And Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. And Joan, tell us what you have.
Yeah.
There it is, coming up.
So a little more than an hour to go now before Wall Street begins the trading day. We are going to check in on what's happening there. Also, there's more seismic shifts taking place at the IRS. We've got those stories and more coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:22 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Meadows here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. Listen, friends, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Now, I've been a client for over 10 years. I have never felt better. Right now, they've got a great deal for you. Right now, the Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States. Of course, that is 47% off spinal decompression therapy. Now, they utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective non-surgical solutions. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are committed to helping you overcome back and knee pain. So call them today at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, online, painisbad.com. Dan Meadows here, 2025. What big events do you have planned? Here we are in the springtime, heading towards summer. Maybe you've got a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding, maybe a birthday, maybe a graduation celebration, whatever. Nashville Tent and Awning can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere. Now, they've been around since, listen to this, 1884, Nashville Tent and Awning. Now, they are a Nashville institution. They've worked with the likes of the Titans, Vanderbilt, and the Grand Ole Opry. They are one of the top companies in Nashville. So think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so you can enjoy the nice shade as the sun gets hotter as we head into summer. Now, again, if you've got an event for work coming up, they can help you with that as well. And they've got awnings, by the way, for any style of building that is going to improve the look and feel of your home or office. You can get some visuals and check it all out at their website, ntaco.com, NTACO.com, or you can call them 615-329-3701, 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Solid craftsmanship built to last since 1884. Nashville Tent and Awning. .728, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, I pride myself on asking the questions that people really want to know the answers to, and I failed in my mission.
Uh-oh.
I shanked it.
You shanked it again.
So Brian was talking about, and I'm very frustrated with myself that I didn't get this question in. Just missed opportunity. Brian's big Easter shindig.
Yeah.
You think he's going to wear the Easter bunny costume?
Oh.
Why didn't I ask him that question?
The biggest Easter bunny ever seen on the planet
I
Earth.
think he would be like a terrifying Easter.
Yes.
He would be like a gargantuan Easter bunny.
The kids would all be screaming and running away.
He's far too tall like
Yeah.
that.
The kids would be reacting like Joe Biden did when he saw the Easter bunny. Remember that one time?
When he got shocked.
When he got shocked by the Easter bunny? That would be the little kids that Brian actually... Do they actually have an Easter bunny costume that is that big?
Big enough for him.
That Mount
Godzilla
Wilson
costumes,
could wear?
maybe.
Godzilla
costumes, maybe.
Yes, Godzilla costumes, perhaps. So anyway, I'm going to text Brian and ask him if he's going to actually wear the. Because you know what, I would go. We would take young Riker all the way to
that'd be
Watertown.
fun, yeah.
The Saturday before Easter, the week before. And if Brian was willing to put on an Easter costume, maybe that's what we do. If Mount Wilson is willing to put on an Easter costume, then we'll all go to Watertown. You think he'll do it?
Well, it depends.
Joan, it's for the kids.
Right. It's for the children.
If we could just get one kid out there in water, whatever. 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, there's an hour to go now before the opening bell on Wall Street, and stock futures sharply lower right now. President Trump's worldwide tariffs went into effect at midnight, and China imposing retaliatory tariffs of 84% on U.S. goods. Now, Congressman Scott DesJarlais earlier this morning with Dan Mandis says Americans should not panic.
Our debt is unsustainable, so we wanted somebody to come in and shake things up. Well, things have been shook up, and I just try to remind people that when you're going to quit printing money, quit borrowing money, quit giving away money, it's got to come from somewhere, and everybody's going to have to absorb some of that if we're going to get back on track.
Tariffs on 86 U.S. trading partners took effect at midnight, setting into motion President Trump's reciprocal duties. Now, President Trump just this morning posting on his Truth Social account that this is a great time for companies to move their operations to the U.S. Another day, another lawsuit against the president, this time from the union that represents library workers. It comes after DOJ, they said, put most of their staff on leave and cut grants. The acting commissioner of the IRS is stepping down following a new deal that shares immigrants' tax data from immigration agents. ABC's Rhianna Nally with more.
Melanie Krause is the third person to leave the top job at the IRS since President Trump took office. And sources say other senior IRS officials may also step down. Critics claim the data sharing agreement violates privacy laws, but the White House says it shows agencies are sharing information to improve efficiency and speed up the deportation of undocumented immigrants.
Now, under the terms of that agreement, ICE would submit names and addresses of immigrants living in the U.S. illegally who have final removal orders, and which that information would be used to check against IRS taxpayer records. That's the latest news now. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. By the way, State Rep Scott Sepiki is going to be joining us at 7:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you know what one of the big controversies and debates going on in the Tennessee State Legislature is right now? There's a debate to give kids a longer recess. So we're going to talk about that straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here from my carpet cleaning company, Zero Res. Now, I've been a client for years and years with Zero Res. One big reason is because they really do help my allergies. You know, carpet is the number one air filter inside your home. It filters out airborne particulates, pollen, bacteria, you name it. Zero Res can filter out the bad stuff so you can keep your filter clean. Remember, that's your carpet. And Zero Res does this better than anyone. They don't use any harsh chemicals. They don't use any harsh soaps, just powered water that leaves behind soft and fluffy carpets. Now, a great deal going on right now. Number one, they haven't raised their prices in a lot of years. And every month, they offer a new way to save you money. Now, here in this month, couple of rooms of carpets cleaned for just $109, plus you are going to get a free hallway and you get 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them, though, 615-535-9376. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned, $109, plus you're going to get a free hallway, 25% off of area rugs. 615-535-9376, ZeroResNashville.com. $734 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Got a lot going on, and I want to tell you about my friends at Stoltzco. Listen, if you've got a lot going on in your backyard and you don't really know what to do with your backyard, but you know you need to do something, why don't you think about a pole barn from my friends at Stoltzco? Now, they are the premier pole barn builders in the state of Tennessee. You know, they're putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco. It could increase the value of your land big time, and they're incredibly versatile. You can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, you know, for horses, or you can just live in it. We call those barn dominiums. But again, they are flexible, and a pole barn from Stoltzco, they are built really well. By the way, you can also plan ahead. Buy some land and build your retirement home. Call them today. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. 615-622-5992. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook or at their website, stoltzco.com.
Eastbound side of 24 right now at Springfield, Ashland City, and Pleasant View. There is an accident this morning. A vehicle has run up into the tree line there, and there may be also a separate accident on the shoulder in that backup that's behind it. Belmont, I-440, the westbound side at Hillsborough Pike, an accident. The right exit lane has been blocked off. Lebanon, 840 eastbound, right near Stewart's Ferry Pike, there's an accident. Got an accident as well in Jolton, Whites Creek Pike at Coopertown Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
736, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, the 99.7 WTN. How are you? Dan Mandis here along with State Rep Scott Sepiki out of Colioca. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good morning, Dan. How you doing today?
Good. We talk a lot of national stuff. Obviously, that's where a lot of the interest is, but there's a lot of things going on locally as well here in the state of Tennessee. One of them, and I was surprised to see this, you were one of the sponsors of the bill, as a matter of fact, the Tennessee bill that would increase physical activity requirements for elementary students. And apparently what you want to do is you want to require these elementary students to have more physical activity. Currently, it's 15 minutes per day to 130 minutes per week to 40 minutes per day. So let's talk about that. Number one, I understand the need for elementary students to get more physical activity because, and I don't know what your reasoning is, but I do know that kids don't get the exercise that we once did.
Well, that's correct, Dan. This whole bill started with a group of moms from the Montgomery and Williamson County area that saw that their children were having issues dealing with the social skills, mental health problems, academic focus, discipline in the classroom, and then the one that's really crept into our society right now is childhood obesity. And so we got to looking at the amount of time that these young students in elementary school were sitting at their desks. And all the studies out there, Dan, show that if you get kids more recess time, especially in elementary school, we're talking 5-year-olds through probably 8 to 9-year-olds, that they need some brain time to reset. Go outside, be kids, run around and play. No structure, just let them go out there on the playgrounds like we used to do and play. And what the studies have shown, Dan, is that one, the kids get better social skills. Number two, it improves their mental health. Number three, discipline issues in the classroom drop dramatically. Number four, we get less childhood obesity because of getting more exercise. But then what's most attractive is that studies show that academic scores will increase on average 10 to 14%, Dan.
So a couple of things. You're right about, kids do need a break. Part of my question is, has the number of recess minutes in elementary school, and by the way, this also impacts middle and high school students. We'll talk about that in a second. But has recess time gone down over the past many years?
Absolutely. When we started out, probably 20, 30 years ago in elementary school, there was almost an hour and a half of recess dedicated every day, a 45-minute, two 45-minute recesses. And one of those was structured around lunchtime. Yeah. The kids would go to lunch. Then when they got done eating lunch, they would go outside for the remainder of the 45 minutes and get to play. And a lot of that, the last decade or two, is we kept adding more and more and more into the classroom for teachers and students to have to do with more and more testing. Well, in the state of Tennessee, over the last few years, we've really made an effort to start to scale that back and get more time for these teachers to really focus on the reading and the math, which we're seeing tremendous results. But the one key component we've been missing is addressing the child's ability to reset their mind, get outside, go play, get out in the fresh air, and run around. And one of the things that there are some districts and some schools in the state of Tennessee that have a couple years ago have already shifted to more recess time in elementary. And those things that I talked about earlier about the social skills, the mental health issues, the discipline problems dropping, and better academic scores are starting to reveal themselves to where these schools, these elementary schools, are starting to become some of our best in the state of Tennessee. So why not incorporate that across the whole state?
Well, and the thing is, you and I both know this, I've talked about this ad nauseum, especially early on when I got to Tennessee, is all of life's lessons are really learned on the playground.
That's correct. You learn how to share, and you learn that you don't get everything you want in life.
Boy, ain't that the truth. In addition, the proposed legislation would require middle and high school students to receive 90 minutes of physical activity or unstructured play outside per week, not including their traditional physical education courses. Now, the point of this article from, I think this is WSMV, is that educators are said to be pushing back. What's their concerns?
Well, I have not received one phone call from any educator or I'm not aware of the superintendents, the TEA. I'm not aware of anybody. There was one concerning committee that the art and music teachers were concerned about, districts possibly cutting back on that. But that traditionally, Dan, is done during the teachers' free time. So they get 2 1-hour free times a week, the teachers do, and that's usually when they bring in the art and the music teachers. And so those districts that have implemented the higher recess numbers, they have not affected any of those arts or science courses or music courses. They've just basically found that instead of spending 150 minutes on reading every day or 100 minutes on math, they scale those back, get the kids outside, and instead of having this quantity of time educating, the teachers are finding that the quality of time have gone up to where they're not needing the same that long amounts of time to get better academic results.
Yeah, it looks like as I read this article, there's some concerns, but if you haven't heard the concerns, I'm just going to tell you part of what they're saying is logistical and all that kind of thing. But you're in the House, and so do you see this? Where is this bill going? Has it already passed the House? Is it going to pass the Senate? Where are we at on this?
It's already passed the Senate last week, 28-1 in favor. It'll be on the House floor this coming Monday for a final vote. And the members up here, if you look in the House committees, it's only received one negative vote in the 2 committees it's already been through.
I'm just curious, who's the one?
I don't remember.
Okay. So this is kind of like bipartisan, like even your Justin Jones and your Pearson and your Glojo and all those people. I mean, they all are on board with this too?
That's correct. And actually, I think in the full education committee, the only no vote, I believe, was Representative Barrett.
Okay. All right. A couple of other things real quick. Yesterday, I did an interview with Dustin Kittle, I think his name was. But we're talking about this this bill that was under consideration in the state legislature regarding chemical companies, and this bill would give effectively immunity to the chemical companies. And a lot of people were upset by that. I did the interview in the 8 o'clock hour. Great interview. If you missed it, we podcast it. But he was going to testify in front of the state legislature, leaving the studio yesterday over to the Capitol. But apparently that bill has been shelved.
Yeah, I mean, that bill has really been debated extensively in both the Agriculture and the Judiciary Committee. And yesterday, I was watching the video in my office on the Judiciary Committee debate, and both sides of this bill present a valid case. And I think what you saw was the system that we have in Tennessee working correctly, where those legislators in the Judiciary Committee wanted to just press the pause button here and give more time for people to talk about this bill and look at the pros, the cons, making sure we're not doing something that could potentially hurt the people of Tennessee when it comes to being injured by a chemical or a pesticide or herbicide, but still maintain the ability for our farmers to be able to turn out the crop production that is so vital to our country. And so I want to give a lot of props there. I believe Chairman Doggett made the motion to send this to the second calendar of next year, and that will give us all time to do a deeper dive into this without the rush of trying to pass legislation, to really look at this bill and maybe come back and make the bill stronger next year, or decide, hey, you know what, this is not for Tennessee.
7:45 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and State Rep Scott Sepiki is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. I got one more questions about the cell phone ban in schools. That is straight ahead. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Lebanon, 840 eastbound past Couchville Pike, we've got an accident. Pleasant View, 24 eastbound past Springfield Ashland City, there's an accident with emergency crews on the scene, mile marker 24. And Public Square Park, Union Street, an accident at 2nd Avenue. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:46 as far as your weather goes. Sounds like it's going to be a decent day, high of 69 and some clouds. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, Representative Scott Sepiki joining us. Let's talk about the cell phone ban in schools. It looks like Governor Lee, has he signed this into law now?
I don't know. I know it's been sent to his desk. I would say probably within the next couple of days if it hasn't already been signed.
Was this a complicated one to get through the House of Representatives?
No, not really. I think, sometimes you hit on some common sense, Dan. And I think we all see what has happened with these cell phones in regards to our young students and our young children of almost becoming addicted, Dan. I know you have children yourself, that the battle we face as parents is to be able to keep control of our kids when they are just all you see is the top of their heads because their noses are stuck into these cell phones all the time. The Snapchats, the TikToks, the social media, which really has become mentally degrading to our children because of the bullying and the stalking and all of the negativity that pops up on all of these teen social pages. And one of the things we saw in our classrooms and across the whole country, I think you're going to see a movement, is that we have got to get the focus back in our classrooms without the distractions of these cell phones. And so what we did in Tennessee is we looked at the data and we found out that, hey, one of the main complaints that teachers have is that during instructional time is getting the focus of their students because they're always on their phones or have their phones in their hands. And so we thought that the first logical step is, hey, let's pass a bill that says during instructional time, cell phones are prohibited from being with the students unless the teacher says, hey, get your cell phones out, look this up, and looking for data. So we passed that bill. It was a bipartisan bill. There were two districts that actually came in to testify, Dan. One was Warren County, and the superintendent, I believe, was a retired 2-star or 3-star general. And he talked about they are now in Warren County, Dan, bell to bell. You cannot have your cell phone on your possession. Now, it can be in your backpack, but you can't have it from the beginning of school to the end of school. And the one thing he talked about in committee that was very interesting to us was he had to have a whistle now during cafeteria time because guess what, Dan? The kids are talking to each other again.
Yeah, you know what? I get it. And I to be honest with you, Scott, I don't know where I landed on this as far as an opinion goes, but because I can make the argument both ways. I know there's a lot of folks that were worried about, heaven forbid, we have some sort of an emergency at the school and parents can't get their kids on the line and so forth. I believe that there were legitimate concerns on both sides, but you folks have passed it, and again, and you've made the argument effectively on WTN before, why you folks felt the need to ban cell phones in schools. I think the governor has signed it, but we'll confirm that here in the next few minutes. Is there anything else? I've only got about a minute left. Scott Sepiki joining us. Only got about a minute left. Anything else going on in the state legislature people need to know about?
Yes, there is. We are wide open right now, Dan. I think we're trying to finish up in the next couple of weeks. That thing called flow motion, when things get really, really fast, when you got to be paying attention to the bills that are coming through committees and getting on the House floor, that's all going to start to ramp up. But I would say probably within another 2 weeks max that we will probably sine die for the first part of the 114th.
All right. Congressman, State Rep Scott Sepiki joins us on Super Talk 99.7 WT. He said not yet. Are you running for Congress?
No.
Are you sure? You may have broken news right now, and I'm not going to let you go until you admit that you have intentions to run for Congress.
You have a great day, Dan.
Oh, man.
I think he's hiding something. I think State Rep Scott Sepiki is hiding something, and I'm going to call. I'm just kidding. Whatever.
I think you may be onto something, though.
You know what? He said not yet really quickly.
He did, and then he
and
bowed
then
out
and then
really
I
quickly.
totally called him out,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh no." And then he told me to have a good day. Did you hear that part?
Definitely
How dare
a big
he?
clue.
He
Big
said,
clue.
"He said you have a good day, Dan." And that's what actually Amy does to me when she wants to blow me off too. It's all right. It's all right, Scott. I'm used to it. No problem whatsoever. On occasion, I get that from Joan Jones too. Dan, you just have a good day. But not right now because she's going to tell us what's happening in the news.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the flooding that continues in Kentucky. We're also going to take a look at stock futures. Still about a little more than a half hour to go here before the opening bell. Yikes. Dan, you have a good day.
No.
Oh,
You have a good day.
We've got more coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All righty. $7:52 on Nashville's Morning News. Guys over 40, if you're running low on energy, maybe you're just feeling off, lowtcenter.com is where you need to go. Get started with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and join lots of guys who are going through the same thing as you. Now, you know that they've got clinics all over Nashville, and they're really easy to get to. You walk in, you see a real medical provider, and you get that energy back. Not a complicated process, just results. And remember, these treatment plans are tailor-made just for you. Now, you can get treatments at the clinic, or you can be treated at home. But either way, you're always going to get the highest quality of care. And right now, in the month of April, you can get a free consultation if you qualify. Treatment is covered by most major medical insurance. So reclaim that energy and become you again. By the way, they can also help you with prescription weight loss options as well. So head on over to lowtcenter.com and book your appointment today. That is lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it. $7:56, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Lake lovers, listen up. Tennessee National is back, of course, you know. Tennessee National a highly anticipated lakefront resort, golf, and marina community. They are having their spring sales event. They're releasing a limited number of lake lots to the public with upgrades and savings one day only, Saturday, April 26th. Now, listen to these great deals. Cottage package with a boat slip, that starts at $379.9. A lake lot with covered boat slips, $64.9. A subdividable wooded lot from $79,900. And for the first time ever, they've got fully furnished lakefront townhomes as well. I've actually stayed in one of those. They are amazing. By the way, Tennessee National, they've got incredible amenities. A private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails and 3.5 miles of shoreline. All kinds of amenities, including pickleball. So you can play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant. But Tennessee National is amazing, just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee. And yes, financing is available. Remember that date, Saturday, April 26th. Find them online, TennesseeNational.com, TennesseeNational.com, or better yet, call them and secure your private tour, 865-408-9992. 865-408-9992. Memories begin here at Tennessee National. All right, so Joan.
Yes.
I think now we're having all kinds of fun here because Scott Sepiki said, well, you have a nice day, Dan, which was akin to Marsha Blackburn saying, well, Dan.
We have a sentence. We have completed a full sentence.
I don't know what it is with me, but these episodes keep happening. But here's what I realized. So I accidentally halfway called Scott Sepiki Congressman.
Yes.
Well, I just finished interviewing Scott Desjardins, who is a congressman.
So the Scots were getting you confused?
So the Scots were getting me confused, just like earlier in the program, all the Kennedys are getting me confused. I keep getting confused between like Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy.
Do you think it's an age thing?
I think he just, like, when there's someone with the same name, his brain just goes to they're the same person. They fuse.
Do you know, maybe I need to go to the Low T Center. Maybe maybe that's my problem.
That can be your never mind.
It's impacting.
Stop. I'm helping you right now.
Hey, look at the time.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Not a moment too soon. 615-737-9986. The Super Text line is open, and we'll return next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's an accident this morning. It's reported in Lebanon on 840. The northbound lanes just past Couchville Pike, exit 67. Careful in that area. More in traffic and weather right after the news. Well, flooding continues to be a big problem in Kentucky. The Ohio River expected to crest at 50 feet, but not until tomorrow. In Dawson Springs, where the waters are receding, residents are still using kayaks to get around. This man telling Channel 4 he's donated dozens of cases of bottled water to lend a hand.
The good Lord puts things upon my heart. I'm not wealthy or rich, but there's a whole lot of people in Dawson Springs that need some kind of help. Prayer works for them also.
Yeah, Dawson Springs, you may remember, was leveled by a tornado in December of 2021. Well, the flooding in Clarksville is ongoing, too. And speaking to WSMV, this man says he bought kayaks for his family to have fun.
We bought the kayaks a long time ago to go to Paris, but Paris is coming to us now.
Yeah, the Clarksville mayor says engineers are now studying the areas that continue to flood after big storms, and they'll work on figuring out how to mitigate those high waters. Metro Police police are saying they counted 17 shell casings from a shootout between two cars on Murfreesboro Pike Monday night.
The police helicopter tracked them down. The vehicle split up, and the pilot kept following the white Dodge Charger involved. It was finally stopped by spike strips on I-40 near the 440 split. Two people got out, ran away, tried to hide in some bushes, but the K-9 officer sniffed them out. They were arrested. 3 teenagers in all were arrested, including 19-year-old Aldo Sosa Ortega, a 16-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Police say they found a 9mm pistol in the bushes, one in the car, and ski masks that the shooters were reportedly wearing during the shootout. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
More tariffs hit today, what the White House has been calling its reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries.
Massive new tariffs hit America's closest trading partners. President Trump not backing down.
I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know what I'm doing, too. That's why you vote for me.
Starting today, steeper tariffs are now in effect on dozens of countries, including that 104% tariff on all Chinese products imported into the U.S. The president raising the stakes after China retaliated with higher tariffs on American goods.
That's ABC's Rachel Scott. And China, by the way, this morning announcing tariffs on U.S. goods, which had been set at 34%, now going to 84% tomorrow. Let's take a look at the numbers. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures right now, minus 581. NASDAQ futures down 111 and the S&P futures falling 58 points. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, once again, that accident on 840 northbound side, the just past the Couchville exit, 87. It's an accident this morning that has traffic a mess in that area. Got a crash as well, Union Street and Public Square Park at 2nd Avenue North. Another one in Jolton, Whites Creek Pike at Coopertown Road. And then you've got a crash as well on the 24 eastbound side in Pleasant View. It's past Springfield Ashland City exit exit 24. Looks like a tree, a vehicle went up into the tree line, and crews are having trouble getting that out of there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. So I got some bad news, Joan.
What could possibly be bad on a day like this?
Chris Hand's been in a car crash.
No. What?
He's okay. I probably should have led with that.
Yeah,
Chris is okay.
That was bad.
What?
Chris is fine. But listen to this. So I'm texting back and forth with Chris. If you're watching on the Super Talk TV, you saw me during the interview with Sepiki that I reacted with surprise at something that I got on my phone. It was a picture of Chris's car.
Oh, no.
That is crunched in the back. Some dude hit him from behind. Oh, no. It gets worse. Guy hits him from behind. No license and no English.
Oh, my gosh.
Of all the people.
Yeah.
Show the picture on the chat.
No, it's got his license.
Oh, gotcha.
But of all the people to get hit with from behind by a non-English speaking, no driver's license, I don't know where the guy's from, it's Chris Hand.
Did he stay on the scene?
Dude tried to leave.
Yeah.
And Chris was like, no. You're not going anywhere.
Did this happen on 24?
Where? Let's see. Where? And they just let him drive away. This is the problem.
They let him drive away?
You got a non-English speaker with no license. He rear ends Chris Hand, and the cops apparently just let him drive away.
What cops?
Well, I don't know what cops. What? I don't know.
Yeah, no, what jurisdiction is he in?
Oh, he's saying yes, 24. So where was it? What jurisdiction? I don't know. I can't text and talk at the same time.
Yeah, I know.
And so the guy obviously doesn't have insurance or anything, so he's footing the bill for this.
Does the dude? I'm now. This is what I'm doing now. I'm texting Chris Hand.
Well, this is breaking news.
Does he? He says it was a state highway. Does dude have insurance? Did dude have insurance? I guess he's listening in real time.
Yeah, I think he might.
Mile marker 66. So
okay.
If you saw a black car rear-ended on mile marker 66 and a guy with a really deep and annoyed voice, that was Chris Hand. All right, Chris, since you're listening, where was the dude from? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Well,
he did have insurance. That is so crazy.
Wait. He has insurance but no license?
Yeah, you can do that.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, good.
He might have been driving somebody else's vehicle, and because the insurance sticks with the vehicle, not with the person.
Right. Yes.
Well,
exactly.
It sounds like they exchanged insurance information at least, or at least Chris got his, so he's paying for them.
Did the guy get a ticket? Anything?
Did the guy get a ticket or anything? I don't know.
We're
apparently the cop said, hold on, I'm going to read.
Yeah.
I love Chris's response to this. Hold on. He and I are going back and forth, and he says, no license. Cop said it's not relevant, ... Sure, pal. That is Chris's response. It's mind-blowing. I'm not disparaging the cops, but it's just like, come on, man.
Now, let me tell you something. If you or I caused that accident, it would certainly be relevant. It would end up with points on our license.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, the way it ought to be, this is me now screaming from the mountaintop. The way it ought to be is, dude, number one, if he's illegal, that car's got to be impounded.
Yep.
And he's got to, they got to take him to the judge, and they got to figure out, okay, who is this guy? Why is he here? So on and so forth. I mean, that's what they got to do. So, and I don't know. I was talking earlier. This was.
People in the chat line are saying, did Chris at least get a picture of his license plate? Make sure, at least there's something there that he can.
Wow. Listen to what Chris says. Chris says, they told me if I didn't fill out the online incident report, I could lose my license. Apparently, Chris, it doesn't matter if you lose your license. You can still drive. Actually, because Chris is a responsible adult, he would make sure that he has a license. But this illegal alien that ran into him from behind, is not a responsible adult. He just decided to come into this country illegally, drive without a license, and ram Chris in the back. Rear-ended, I guess I should say.
This has to go higher. Like, this needs to go to lawmakers to say, why isn't this guy, why hasn't he been collared and he's in a jail waiting for ICE to come and handle this guy?
You know what? Get Congressman Sepiki on the phone.
Back on the phone, yes.
See what I did there? Congressman Sepiki.
Oh, you mean state rep?
I mean state rep Sepiki.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. What did the other guy write into a report, or is it only on Chris's hands to deal with it that it wasn't his fault at all?
You know what? Here's the great thing. Chris is going to be here after 9.
Oh, there's going to be a monologue.
Y'all can talk to Chris about it. I don't know.
Chris has got ammunition today.
I want to know why Chris has a better car than I do. I'm not going to say what car he has. Has Chris ever said what kind of car he's got?
No.
He's got a far better car than I do. I've got a little RAV4. He's got a highfalutin car.
Jealousy is ugly.
Oh, that's okay.
And
so am I. Not a problem.
And I remember you saying your wife had to say, you got to get a new car, and you just got that. Isn't that the story?
No, I've got a RAV4. Yeah, she did. She told me to get a new car like a couple of years ago, and I did. I got a RAV4, which for me was an upgrade. Trust me on that one.
Were you driving like a Dots or something like that?
I had a
Oldsmobile?
No, I didn't have an Oldsmobile. I had a Jeep Patriot is what I used to have. And then I gave my broken down car to my daughter. She's like, yeah, thanks, Dad.
She's still driving it? Or she get it
no, she sold it. She's whatever.
What'd she sell it for?
Cup of coffee. I got to go. I can't do this all day. Anyway, so Chris is not going to be here by 8:35. He had to corral the illegal alien that rear-ended him and wait for the cops to show up. So I feel bad for Chris because he's got a nice car. See, that's why I don't have a nice car, Joan. If you have piece of craps, then it doesn't hurt so bad when you get rear-ended by illegal aliens who have no license.
It's something that we never thought we'd have to figure into the calculus of buying a car.
There ought to be a law. Get Congressman Sepiki on the phone.
Thank God Chris's kids weren't in the car.
You mean state rep Sepiki? Yeah, he got hit from behind. Man. This story really infuriates me.
And he's got some serious damage to his better car than mine. Like he's got some it's some damage. So
now what's gonna happen is he'll file a claim with his insurance company and his insurance will go up, and that creep from whatever country it is that he came from is la la la. He doesn't care.
Okay, so hold on. That might be fake news, Joan. If you get hit from behind, clearly that is automatically the illegal alien non-English speaking driver's fault. So that wouldn't count against Chris, would it?
It depends on the state. Now, different states have different laws and stuff like that. Many of them say there is no responsibility when it comes to accidents. They don't assign responsibility. They just pay the claim.
Well, that's a rip. Really?
Yeah.
That is some kind of BS right there.
I can tell you New Jersey and Maryland are the same way.
Well, those are Democrat-run states, Joan.
Of course.
And to be fair, if you get rear-ended, you could also bait someone into doing that. Like you can drive like really close and all of a sudden hit the brakes really hard on the highway. People do that for insurance fraud all the time.
No fault. That's what it's called. No fault insurance.
No fault insurance. That's exactly right.
Obviously, Chris didn't do that, but I'm saying that happens.
Well, and you know what? And here's the other thing. Well, no, then that no fault insurance. What do we have in Tennessee?
There you go.
Can somebody look it up?
Super Texter 5794 said his insurance won't go up. Tennessee is an at-fault state. Okay.
Well, 3893 says that filing any sort of claim will raise your insurance.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I feel bad for Chris.
Yep. So how's he going to get here?
His car is drivable.
Okay.
Chris, if you need a new car, I highly recommend a RAV4. That way, Chris and I are on equal footing. You know what I mean?
Right,
should he go to Nolensville Auto Mart?
You have to pull everybody down with you, huh, Chris?
Dan. Yeah.
Who are you?
I don't know. I'm the guy that made a state rep a congressman a few minutes ago, and I'm still trying to recover from that one. Get Congressman Sepiki on the phone. I think that's funny. That should actually be like an ongoing joke. Just,
This will continue.
Mm-hmm.
And also, have a good day, Dan.
You have a good day, Dan.
We'll be on here forever.
8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. $8:17 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your day today, a high of 69 and some clouds. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, back to business. During Donald Trump's speech last night, some breaking news about tariffs and pharmaceuticals.
We're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals, and once we do that, they're going to come rushing back into our country because we're the big market. The advantage we have over everybody is that we're the big market. So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals, and when they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because they have to sell. Most of their product is sold here.
Yeah, and the president is right. Remember, there's two aspects to this. There's the finished drugs and the ingredients. Now, listen to these stats, and this is why it's important. Finished prescription drugs, they say that roughly 20 to 30% of our finished drugs are made outside of America, mainly in China and India. But drug ingredients, 70 to 80% of those ingredients are made in China or India. So basically, Trump wants to start making the ingredients here in America. And I was speaking to the actual Congressman, Scott Desjardins, earlier. And one of the questions that I asked him is, okay, so everybody wants to start making this stuff here in America, but do we have the infrastructure to actually do it? Because we don't want to put ourselves in peril and not be able to get these drugs or the ingredients if we pick this fight with China, which guess what, we already have. By the way, again, drug ingredients, 70 to 80% of the ingredients made in China or India. Generic drugs, about 90% of all generic drugs are made outside of the United States.
You know what The Guardian's reporting this morning?
What's that?
That pharmaceutical companies in the EU have warned of a risk of exodus to the U.S. because of that announcement from Donald Trump.
A risk of exodus from the U.S.
To the U.S. The EU drug companies will move to the United States.
Oh.
Because of President Trump's announcement.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? And we've been seeing that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been seeing that. Trump announces tariffs, and then you have all of these companies moving here. And that will be a big stick it to you for China. And so we'll see if, if these companies do move here, which would be absolutely brilliant if they did. We have to get up and running, and we have to get up and running quickly.
And they're going to be opening up their plants all over the place in our country. We're going to be announcing that. So that's breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. What other presidents allow China to get away with is absolutely criminal, but I'm not like the other presidents, and it's not going to happen under President Trump. It's just not going to happen. After all of the abuses they've perpetrated, China's attempting to impose additional unjustified tariffs. Just so you understand, they all got rich because of tariffs. Now when we do it, it's so terrible. What Trump is doing is so terrible. They got rich. And not only China, many countries. I mean, you look at Vietnam, you look at so many, I could name 50 right now.
Yep. And so we'll have to see how the markets react. By the way, the market's open in what, 10 minutes, Joan?
Yes.
9 minutes in 10 seconds. All right. So what are the futures looking like right now?
So let me back out of this.
This is why Joan hates working with me, not so secretly, because I ask her questions when she's on 15 different windows.
I'm good. So Dow futures right now are minus 426, and that's not the worst we've seen this morning.
No.
NASDAQ futures down 37, S&P futures minus 33. So, it's going to be another day of gyration, which is one of Wall Street's favorite words.
Gyration?
Gyration.
Would you like to define gyration?
Yeah. So we're going to move from, stocks being higher to stocks being below to stocks being higher to stocks going under. I mean, it's just going to be that way.
It's going to be all over the place.
All over, all day long.
It's going to be gyrating.
Gyration, yes. When I worked at the Wall Street Journal, that was one of our favorite words.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I'll work it into my vernacular, gyration.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, 8:21. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, we've got more on what to expect as the stocks begin. The opening bell is just about to ring, and we'll take a look right after the opening bell this morning. Also, President Trump announcing that major tariffs on pharmaceutical imports could begin. What the EU is saying about that this morning. Those coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:23 on WTN. All right, so Chris, if you're listening and you need a new car, check out my friends at Nolensville Road Auto Mart. It's a great place to buy a car. They've probably, if you've been looking for cars, you see the words buy here, pay here, and it does make you think, all right, one of these buy here, pay here places, not a place I want to go. A lot of these places, they have bad reputations. I'm here to tell you there is a place you can go, Nolensville Road Auto Mart. They are different for a few simple reasons. Now, they've been doing Nashville business for 61 years. That's right. They've been here for 61 years. They are Nashville natives. They're from here that only sell clean title cars under $12,000. Now, if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they got you. If you need a first car, say for a 16-year-old, they can do that for you as well. And you don't need to take my word for it, friends. The Google reviews are excellent, and that does say something for a car dealership. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They are going to get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they are the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. And yes, they do work with your own financing as well. Now, if you have it, flexibility, transparency, and honesty, that is why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. That's automartcars.com, automartcars.com. $8:25 on WTN. Loan Pronto. Listen, interest rates have plummeted. It is time to call my friends at Loan Pronto. Dan Mandis here. Now, if you're looking to get cash out of your home equity, refinance out of a high rate, or do a home improvement project, Loan Pronto can make it happen in a matter of days. Take advantage of this opportunity and get tens or even hundreds of thousands out of your home equity. You can pay off all those credit cards. You can pay off your car loans as well. The average homeowner cuts their monthly bills by over $1,000. Get more info at loanpronto.com. Inflation and higher costs have put a lot of people in a stressful financial situation. But if you own a home, there is a way out. Call my friends at Loan Pronto. They're online at loanpronto.com, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, at MLSconsumeraccess.org. 828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This has been a very busy show and a lot of great interviews. If you want to hear the interviews, we have or will be podcasting all of them. We spoke with State Rep Scott Sepiki. We spoke with, of course, Brian Wilson, who had some great analysis on the tariffs, and also Congressman Scott Desjardins. So we had all of those interviews. And by the way, we do have what I thought is a great Daily Dan poll, which I have failed to mention here in a little bit. So watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook, X, 997WTN.com as well. That is how you watch the video streaming part of the broadcast. And you can take on YouTube the Daily Dan poll. The poll today is the first day of tariffs. So they are now implemented worldwide. And how do you feel? Do you feel optimistic? Do you feel, what did I say?
Anxious or dread?
Or dread. And what are people saying?
79% are optimistic, 15% are anxious, and only 6% are feeling dread.
Okay. Now, here's what I said. What I said was I'm feeling optimistic with a shade of anxious, right? That's what I said. I do believe that it's going to be okay. And I love what Joan told us about tariffing pharmaceuticals, which is, I think she said, is that the BBC is now reporting that you've got...
The Guardian, yeah.
The Guardian. And they're reporting that, okay, well, then if that's going to be the case, then you got some of these companies in some of these countries that are saying, let's go ahead and set up shop in America. And again, that brings more jobs and a broader tax base to America. And so then, again, my concern would be, do we have the ability, the infrastructure, if that's the case, to hit the ground running? Because I think that at least for me, would be a concern. But if we can hit the ground running, then that's 2 thumbs up from yours truly. It is 8:30 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's a couple of things to tell you about on the commuter side this morning. 840, the northbound side past Couchville Pike. Drivers confirming that there's a crash there. And then 40, the westbound side before South Hartman Drive, exit 236. It's all stop and go this morning. There's a crash as well in that area. We'll have more in weather and in traffic right after the news. The European Union voting to approve now counter tariffs on a range of goods from the U.S., and they will start on April 15th. Unless negotiations with the U.S. are unsuccessful. Now, in her statement, the EU President Ursula von der Leyen saying essentially that the EU is ready to talk now with President Trump. Meantime, the president announcing a major tariff on pharmaceutical imports with the goal of incentivizing drug companies to move their operations to the U.S. Congressman Scott Desjardins telling Dan Mandis earlier this morning that anything's possible.
Do we have the infrastructure? No. Can we get it? Yes, I believe we can. And again, people are going to have to accept that this isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to take some time. You got to believe in the strategy.
Now, The Guardian reporting this morning that pharmaceutical companies in the EU have warned that they may move to the United States over this. And endangered child alerts canceled now. Lebanon police reporting that 10-year-old Jeremiah Opio had been last seen riding his bike in the Five Oaks Court neighborhood last night. Well, this morning, they're reporting just about a half hour ago that he is now located and he is safe. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Well, the stocks this morning opened lower. We've got Dow Jones Industrials down, but just 272 points. That's better than it had been earlier this morning before the stock market opened. NASDAQ is currently trading 82 points higher. We've got S&P 500 index down just 8 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
8:32, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. The spring season is upon us. You're going to have a lot of rain, which means that grass is going to grow, which means that you need a really good lawnmower. Luckily, my friends at DT McCall's, they can help you out because right now they are in the middle of their spring Cub Cadet mower sale. It's going on right now at their Lafayette location until April 12th. If you missed that, then it's going to happen in Cookeville, April 18th through the 26th. You know, they do this every year at DT McCall's. Now, you know that they are one of the top Cub Cadet dealers in America. And Cub Cadet is one of the leading lawnmowers in America. And at DT McCall's, you can find Cub Cadet riding mowers, the big ones, 42 to 72-inch decks for those larger areas, and Cub Cadet walk-behind mowers for those smaller lots. And when you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll also be getting access to their in-house service department as well. You know, it is nearly impossible to find mower service anywhere else, but DT McCall's, they've got it for you with a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and that in-house service department. It is an easy choice. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. $8:34 on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis for my window company, Window Nation. Now, I endorse these folks because they did great work for me. Now, if you've got old and inefficient windows, we had all that rain. If you've got some rain maybe on your windowsill, it is time to upgrade to Window Nation. You know, they are ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installers. That is huge. Window Nation, again, they do great work. They've done great work for thousands of people across Middle Tennessee and millions across the nation. By the way, these windows are made in the USA. Now, they did put new windows in my basement studio, my kitchen, and my bedroom. They look fantastic, and they can do the same thing for you. Right now, a great deal for listeners to my show. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 additional windows absolutely free, plus no payments, no interest until 2027. Now, these windows, they are energy efficient, so not only are you saving money on install, but on your electricity bills as well. Now, how do I know that you're going to be happy with Window Nation? Because they've got a 96% satisfaction rating and over 20,000 5-star reviews. Now, don't forget that great deal. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 additional windows free, plus no payments or interest until 2027. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, online anytime, windownation.com.
Okay, on 40 westbound, this is in Lebanon. It's a crash before South Hartman Drive this morning, and it's stop-and-go traffic up to that point. Out at the airport, Briley Parkway northbound, the off-ramp to westbound Murfreesboro Pike, that off-ramp partially blocked off by a crash. Berry Hill, 65 in the northbound side, just past I-440. Crews are working an accident there on the right shoulder where it is blocked, and by the way, that one involves 3 vehicles. And Smyrna, 24 the westbound side, a crash reported just past Sam Ridley Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, the 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Wednesday across Middle Tennessee. Dan here along with KGB. Joan Jones is here as well. This is usually where we do the crisscross handoff, but as we're talking about earlier.
Late again.
You know that, Chris? He just can't make it on time.
Oh, come on.
I don't know why we can't get a professional here at 9 o'clock. Why is this so difficult?
The man has been in a car accident, you people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
¿Qué pasa?
Poor guy.
That was good, Dan.
Wasn't it, though?
That was
I'm actually having fun with Chris's traffic accident. He's okay.
Well, he's okay. That's why we can.
He's okay. I was thinking about, like, when Chris walked in at 9, just saying "Que pasa?" because the person, for you folks that are just joining us, dude that hit him from behind is a non-English speaker with no driver's license. I'm not laughing.
This is not a problem.
I think I just did.
Clearly.
No, I feel bad for Chris. I do. I feel bad for Chris because of all the people, I was talking to somebody in the hallway, of all the people to get hit by a non-English speaking illegal alien, Chris Hand. And the dude, apparently, the hombre tried to leave.
Shocking.
And Chris was like, no. I don't know how you, I don't know. And by the way, I don't know what language the dude speaks. I asked Chris what language it was. He said he had no idea. But the guy tried to leave. And so, but Chris, his car is drivable. 1313 says, yeah, it's always something with that guy.
You know, it's funny. Like, imagine like driving to work. You're like, I have nothing prepared today. And then that happens. You're just like, I have a show now. Bright side.
So if this guy can't speak the English language, clearly, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. He also can't read the English language.
Yep.
How is he on our roads not able to read signs? How?
Well, no license will do that.
I want to know from Chris. Well, because they don't care.
Exactly.
Joan.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
they've already broken our immigration laws. What's some driving laws?
Yeah.
I want to know from Chris. Chris, you're probably listening.
Yeah.
Did they, Chris, text me. Did they allow this dude to just drive off, or did they put, like, what's the...
Yeah, did they give him a ticket at least? Did they take any information down?
You know what? Hey, Chris, call us.
How do they know he's not driving a stolen vehicle?
KGB, take the phones off hold.
He has the...
no, he doesn't know the hotline number.
my
I've worked here
gosh.
11 years. I don't know the hotline number. Chris, call me, 615-737-9986. I want to know from... That's him. It would also be interesting to know if Chris actually knows the hotline number.
You don't have it stored
Joan.
in your phone?
11 years.
I have it stored in my phone.
Well, I have
and
it
I've been
stored
here
in
a
my
year.
phone, but I want to make it as easy as possible for, Chris to call.
While he's driving. Okay.
He's been, he's had a traumatic day. Oh, there's Chris. Hold on. Hey, Chris, you're on the air. Hey, KGB, put the potentiometer up, will you? Hey, Chris, number one, do you know the hotline number by heart?
No, but I have it saved in my phone like a grown-up.
That's what I thought. Like, I don't know why you didn't have it.
Chris is just angry because of how I led into that car commercial a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that great, Chris?
I was joking with the wife. I was like, man, I hope somebody can tell me this thing is totaled so I can get something new.
Oh, that is so funny. Well, I was joking about how you have a nicer car than me. You sent me the photo, but whatever. Let's move on from there. So, did they allow... First of all, you don't know what language this dude was speaking.
Well, he was speaking Spanish. I mean, he was speaking Spanish, and he pulled out the Google Translate app, and it said, hey, I'm going to leave. Call me if you need anything. I said, no. We wait.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and I just started pointing at the ground. I said, we wait. And then I had to call Highway Patrol, and they came, and they were great. Like, the officer was fine. I'm not going to knock him at all.
Fair enough.
But I asked the question. I said, does he have a license? And he goes, no, it's not relevant. I go, feels pretty relevant. It feels very relevant.
How could that not be relevant? Did he explain?
No. And honestly, I wasn't doing too many follow-ups. I was like, I just got to get out of here. Like, let's get the paperwork done and let's roll. And then he hands me an instant report and he says, if you don't fill this out online in 20 days or mail it back to us, you will lose your license. And I'm like, what? So I could lose my license out of this deal? This is a terrible deal.
Well, clearly, Chris, it doesn't matter in the state of Tennessee whether you have a license or not. Now, did they let this guy drive off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know if he's undocumented. I'm just assuming based on the evidence that I have.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
They let him drive off, so they did check to make sure that car wasn't stolen?
I'm sure
he had insurance. Like, he was quick to pull out an insurance card, but I couldn't verify if that's the person that hit me or not, or if it's an active insurance plan. So I was like, no, we wait. We'll get the police just to make sure everything's documented. Insane.
Unbelievable. At least he didn't just take off, even though you said wait here.
Yes, I was waiting for him to do that.
Did you pull up your translation app and say no, we wait here? Because that would have been fun.
No, I don't have a translation app. I don't have those things. I just shook my head no, and I think he got the message.
Yeah.
Did you make him nervous? Did you use like the really deep voice?
I did. I turned on the deep voice. And I thought to myself, I said, Dan would be so impressed right now.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, listen, I'm glad you're okay.
Yes,
and
I'm sorry for being late again. It seems like it's always something.
I don't know why you can't get this right, Chris. It's not that hard to show up on time.
I know. I'll do better. I promise.
Are you cool with saying what road it was on?
Yeah, it was on 24 West, mile marker 66, and like we weren't even stopped. We were just rolling at like 2 miles per hour, and then just slam. It was just
how fast? Because you've got. I mean, I don't know if you're going to post that, but you've got serious dentage back there.
Yeah, I mean, he was going fast. He must. I don't know. I'm not like the best at judging this, but I feel like he was going at least like 30 or 40, and I was going like 3.
So he was looking at his phone instead
100%.
of paying attention to what's happening in front of him.
100%.
Yeah. Chris, you should know better than to stop in front of an illegal alien driving a car with no license. You should know better than that. This is on you.
This
Chris.
is a mistake I won't make twice. So.
I wonder, so if you were late for work today, folks, because you were stuck behind an accident on 24 West at mile marker 66, blame Chris Hand.
Exactly.
What town is 66 near, or what exit is that near?
That's near Smyrna, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's been a morning, guys.
It has. You're going to be fired up when you get in. I do. I want to, it astonishes me, and I know this is well-worn territory on talk radio, but it astonishes me that dude is assuming he's illegal. We know he has no license, and they let him just drive off. It is frustrating. Yeah. Clearly, obviously frustrating.
100%. And then before I leave, I get a threat of you can lose your license if you don't do X.
That's nuts.
All right. Word.
You know what, Chris? Maybe here on WTN we need to advocate for a change in law where if an illegal alien hits you and you get into an accident, no license, that they impound the car and get hauled off in front of the immigration judge, and we can call it the Chris Hand law, is what we could do.
I mean, and again, I don't know if this guy was an illegal alien.
I know
that any regular adult in their 40s should have a license, and if they're driving on roads. And the fact that he didn't speak English, it's like, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that lead us to this conclusion.
Highway 66 is Sam Ridley Parkway.
Okay.
Yep.
So
busy area. I mean, always congested there, right?
Well, and TB is like on the super text line. Seriously, you have to out that policeman for letting him go. No, because we don't the cop was obviously following the law. No. The cop is going to follow whatever the law is, and if the law is that they're allowed to just drive away even though they have no license, that just stuns me. But you know what? I mean, I've heard of people have said on the super text line, they go to traffic court. You've got all these dudes that are there driving without a license and so forth, and they're in court, and they still don't have the license. And how did they get there? They drove. How did they leave? They drove. The judge just lets them do it.
Yep. It's crazy.
So, yeah, it is. So, anyway, but obviously your car is drivable.
Yeah.
Do you do any endorsements? Do you do any endorsements for a body shop?
No. Paging Eurofix.
Yeah.
Oh, do they do body work? Eurofix? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I have no idea.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't even care. I'll figure all this stuff out as it comes. But it's just annoying, really, more than anything else.
Yep. No, all right. Clearly, Chris is done with us. Thank you, Chris.
All right.
We'll see when you get here.
I'll see you guys shortly. Later.
Bye.
All right, let's see here. Now, people are yelling at me.
Yeah. Don't hassle him.
Chris will be on our traffic report.
Mario says the law is you have to have a license to operate a motor vehicle. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I
don't get why they'd let him
You know
go.
what, dude, take the phones off hold.
Uh-oh.
I need a lawyer or a cop or somebody to call and explain to us why it is that somebody who, I mean, take out the illegal alien part, but if they don't have a license, then why are they allowed to just drive off? Right? I mean, isn't that a legit question?
Without a doubt. Now, I mean, you can't take out the fact that he was not speaking English, so he may well be an illegal alien
as well.
And I mean, I think that there's action that needs to be taken there that the police didn't take. I'm not afraid to say that.
All right, grab that line, 615-737-9986. I mean, I should know this, but to me, it's like common sense.
Yeah.
So we'll see what KGB is getting.
Well, there's
phones
probably
are like exploding.
Right, they exploded.
So you know what? I should know better than to do this at the end of a show.
Well, you still have 10 minutes left. You're good.
I like what Matt Murphy texted during all of that.
Yeah.
Because I told Hand to text me, and then Matt Murphy, of course, texts me while I'm on the phone or while I'm on the air, and he says, Dan, encouraging Chris to text while driving. Awesome way to go, Dan. That way, Chris Hand could. Okay, now how funny would it be if Chris, while texting me,
it wouldn't be funny,
ran into an illegal alien with no license from the back, rear ending.
It would not be good.
A guy named Chris is on line one. Chris, go ahead.
Maybe Chris isn't there.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for taking my call. I was going to say, so I'm 43 years old. My little brother is about, I think he's 7 years younger than I am. Doesn't really have much to do with us, but he's got 9 or 10 kids, and I don't know how many. I mean, he's never had a license, ever.
How has he never?
Yeah.
So what happens if he gets pulled over?
I mean, he's always gotten let go, but at the same time, heck, he's always in jail for not paying child support.
Oh my Lord!
So it's the most ridiculous thing, because it's like, I mean, he's driving. He has no license, no insurance. So if you get hit by him, you're done. And on top of that, most of the time he's in jail for drug charges and things like that. So it's like, what?
Well,
I mean,
you know what, Chris? We got to run, but I pray for your brother.
Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully, you and your brother aren't alike in that regard. Do you know what's funny?
Doesn't sound like it.
It's funny. No, if Chris listens to WTN, clearly he's a responsible citizen. You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I can't even imagine, like, breaking laws and going to jail. That is just, like, when you were a kid, you were terrified. My dad put the fear of God in me about, my mom too, about not breaking the law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people just don't care. Now, Steve is a former cop. Steve, please explain this to me, because maybe I'm sure that I'm missing something. But how is it a dude with no license and very possibly illegal can rear end somebody else and then just drive away?
All right, yeah, so I'm pretty perplexed myself over this one. So in order to receive a citation in the state of Tennessee, you have to know who they are. So anytime you issue even a speeding ticket, if they don't have an ID or any form of proving who they are, they have to be brought before a magistrate. So in this case, I mean, there must be some kind, especially if they don't have a license. Just say they're suspended. You can't just let them drive away. You can get them a ride, but if they can't get a ride, then they have to be brought before a magistrate. So there's something really weird going on here.
And we're talking about, Steve, let me ask, wouldn't the car be impounded or no?
Oh, yeah, well, it's getting towed. I mean, it would, not impounded for, like, evidence. It wouldn't go to, like, the,
All right,
yeah, but no, it's getting towed for sure.
Let me ask you a question. So there's a former MMPD officer who texted in on the text line and said that driving without a driver's license is a misdemeanor, and therefore it is at the officer's discretion what he'll do.
Okay, yeah, it is a misdemeanor, 100%. That's correct. But no, you can't just let them go driving away without a license like that.
Right, because he's breaking a law again by driving off.
I was going to say, apparently they do.
So you're allowing. So there's 8 reasons you should. All right. So in Tennessee, you have a right to have a citation issued to you, but there's 8 reasons in which that right is stripped, and one of them is whether or not a crime is likely to continue. If the offense is likely to continue, then they have to be brought before a magistrate. So if you don't have a license or an ID, and I can't prove who you are, we've just met 2 of those 8 reasons. You need to be brought before the magistrate.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Steve, thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it. I want to. Hey, Sharon, you got 30 seconds before I got to wrap up the show, but you're kind enough to call in. Thank you, Steve. Sharon, go ahead real quick.
Okay. So 2 days after Christmas, my car was hit by a non-English speaking man.
Yes.
I was taking my son to the hospital. He was sick. Some guy pulls right out in front of me, hits me, totaled my car. And the cop, and he had a driver's license, but he didn't speak a lick of English. And I'm thinking, how does these people get a driver's license?
Well, and here's the other question: was his license valid or real? No, but I think in Tennessee, you have driver's licenses in several different languages. Now, I think there was a move afoot to try to make English only as far as the driver's licenses, if I remember correctly. So, anyway,
and isn't this kind of why? I still don't get why they let this guy drive away.
It's like, remember a couple of weeks ago, I had that story about the truck drivers.
Yes,
that they don't speak English and they're driving these deadly 18-wheelers.
Huge 18-wheelers, yes.
And it turns out, and I haven't, with everything that's going on, but there's been some updates to that story because apparently they were like mills of these people that are just, they're driving trucks and they come into our country. They're given, I'm going to air quote this, driver's licenses so that they can drive these 18-wheelers, and it's dangerous. Yeah. Because they can't read the signs, and they don't really know their way around, and how really in tune are they with our driving laws. So anyway, so I'm sure Chris Hand is going to have a lot more to say about this coming up after 9.
All right, so coming up here in the news.
Yes.
I don't know if they're related, but President Trump said, "Be cool. This is a great time to buy," and stocks are rising.
All right.
Stocks are rising after President Trump said that. Wow. We'll take a look at that coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8.56 on WTN. Avoid the stress of preparing to sell your home with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You can skip the hassle of spring cleaning and sell your home fast and, yes, for maximum value. You don't have to worry about showings, open houses, or costly repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer allows you to bypass the market, receive an all-cash offer, and close within days. They've got over 12,500 five-star reviews, and you can trust Mark Spain to sell your home fast with their guaranteed offer. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Remember, Mark Spain Real Estate has over 67,500 satisfied clients